kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me.
From Texas Motor Speedway, the Stacy Strong Cup Series has come into town guns a-blazing for an Old West shootout. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Fort Worth, Texas area. Patrick Gitter led 283 of 400 laps last week at Martinsville, earning his 2024 grandfather clock in dominant style with points leader Matt DiCiani, while he had to settle for being a bridesmaid when the dust settled in Virginia. Ryan Samuelson jumped up 10 spots in our point standings when he made just his third start of the season in our last race. He's been a very long way from chasing down the top three in our points, who did hold their positions once again. Now, as we get ready to duel it out here in the great state of Texas, grab some brisket, call a friend, and settle in with an Alamo beer as we present to you the Stacy Strong Cup Series live from Texas Motor Speedway. I'm Dave Regal alongside my brother from another mother, Mr. Matt Metler, here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, and as always, we're thrilled to be with you every step of the way. From the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. And Matt, here it is Sunday night again, and it all comes down to this.
It all comes down to Sunday night once again, and it's time to go no limit. Turn the speeds back up, leave the short tracks, and get back to what these guys do best here in Texas. They say everything is bigger and better, and these drivers will be as well tonight in prime time, Dave.
Yeah, everything is bigger and better in Texas. I mean, unless you're a fan of the Dallas Cowboys like me. But, 86 degrees tonight if you're here in the bleachers. Of course, that just go around here on the front stretch through turns 1 and 2 and out of 3 and 4. 124 degrees the asphalt temperature here at qualifying time. That, sir, is slippery and blistering.
Yikes. I mean, I ran 2 races here already this week, and the track temp was not near 125 degrees. It was 103, 107, and it was a little greasy. I can't imagine what it's going to feel like going out there as these drivers are right now. And in fact, you can see it already in the speeds. Patrick Gitter, no surprise, who currently sits on the pole, a 30.03, unable to break into the 29-second bracket. That just goes to show you how much of an ice skating rink this place is right now.
Watching Tyler Sexton just come across the start-finish line on his second qualifying lap. He's going to go 10th fastest here, and I'll tell you what, we're going to see some incredible speeds tonight as, even some of the drivers that we don't usually see up front, they're able to, if you're able to hold that throttle open, and really you have to have, balls of steel to get through, especially 1 and 2 coming onto the back chute. If you can hold that throttle wide open, you can be dominant here.
Yeah, you got to have some girthy lug nuts inside the race car to go ahead and do that, especially when the surface temperature on that racetrack, is almost hot enough to fry an egg.
Yeah, we were yesterday. I was listening to the Xfinity broadcast, and they were talking about one of the drivers, his cool suit, or his cool shirt, whatever it is, inside of the fire suit had quit working, and temperatures inside the car go in excess of 120 to 130 degrees. So, fortunately on the iRacing format, we don't have that problem because most people are, let's be honest, sitting in pajama pants and slippers in the racing rig.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we can't really simulate yet, even with the most advanced sims out there. Just the raw sheer heat and abuse your body takes, and also those G-forces. As we're watching now, the 17 out there on his first qualifying lap here, Dave, clocking in at a 30.61. I'm sorry, that's the second lap, is my timing and scoring updates. That's going to be good for just inside the top 20 in that 19th position, Dave.
Yeah, Chris Claude, Chief Cook and Bottle Washer, a special announcement for him. I'm going to tease it, I guess in broadcasting we call this a tease. Tune in later tonight, folks. Watch the back end of the 10. We've got a special announcement regarding Chris Claude from Fairview, Tennessee later on tonight, so make sure that you keep it right here on Sim Racing Media as some exciting news coming up here. Chris Davis, no exciting news just yet for him, but the Koshkonong, Missouri native out here on his opening lap. And, take us through one of these laps, Matt, as we're going to go right here to the nose of the 74. We can see that he's down here kind of fighting a tight condition already.
Yeah, that's turns 1 and 2. You want to take it wide, but you want to rip the bottom there close to that white line, but you got to be very patient with the throttle. You pick it up too soon, it's going to put you into the fence. So coming in here to 3 and 4, you can see he's utilizing the high line here, which a line that I typically don't run, but you want to swing it down there to the white line and hold this car wide open, give it everything you can. You want to lift right here. Wow, as Davis drives it in deep. Maybe a little bit of brake there, but that's right where you want this car to be. Now listen to him pick up the throttle. Now he's wide open. You pick it up there a little too soon, that's going to put you in the fence every time as we approach 180 miles an hour. Now he sends it in there on the bottom. Shortest way around this place, rip it just a little off that white line. Back hard on the throttle again. Almost clip the grass here, and that'll get you a quick lap around this 1.5-mile facility, Dave.
Yeah, Chris Davis went 14th fastest on the first lap, just went all the way up to 6th fastest here on his second. So obviously Davis has a secret that we don't know about. Speaking of secrets we don't know about, here's Nolan Hodgson from Lamar's, Iowa, who's already gone 12th fastest on the opening lap. One of the things that I noticed about Chris Davis's qualifying effort, he's only using up to 4th gear. He's got that thing wound up tighter than a snare drum, and he's still hitting more than 180 miles an hour into the corner. So he's not even using that 5th gear that these Cup cars are equipped with.
Well, that's the benefit of having an open setup league. So the 2 races I ran, Dave, one was an open setup and one was a fixed. Oh, as the 12 gets into the wall, as I was so in tune talking about the setups, I completely forgot that he's already on his cooldown lap there. So, hey, no harm, no foul. But that was the beauty of running 2 races, Dave, one with a fixed setup and one with an open setup. The open setups, you can tune these cars to run that 4th gear, and all that RPM helps the car get into the corner, believe it or not. And I think that's the reason why you see a lot of these guys that are putting up the really strong lap times are running, or these really high speeds and these low lap times are using 4th gear. However, it is going to hurt you in the fuel economy department. That's the trade-off.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, we want to take a peek here. Speaking of which, of course, it's going to be, and of course now I'm waiting for everything to load. There it goes. It's going to be 267 total laps tonight. Drivers are going to have 9 sets of tires for this event. We're going to have stage 1 up through the end of lap number 80. Stage 2 going to end at the conclusion of lap 165. So that takes some of the guesswork out of this. Basically, oh my goodness, pit cycle. If we go green flag racing, we should see the pit window be about 35 to 50 laps. And I kind of ripped that out of today's real life broadcast over on Fox. And, oh geez, now I'm getting told that I have to refresh the paints. Whoop-de-doo. Because somebody wanted to make a change. So while that works itself out, let's take a quick peek here at our point standings. And I talked about it in the open, but this is something that we're starting to see. These top 3 drivers, Matt, are all locked together and haven't moved positions just yet.
No, they haven't. And these guys have been literally the cream of the crop each and every week. They show up and they put on a clinic. And let's just face it, Dave, when you're that consistent, no surprise you're going to wind up at the top of the points pylon.
Yeah, I mean, especially somebody like Matt DeCiani, 347 points. I mean, he only leads by just under 20 points ahead of Sean Rogers and Nolan Hodgson. And, Nolan Hodgson has a pretty big gap between himself and Rogers. As you go back further through the points, things get a little bit closer. Of course, Derek Heitman just 4 points behind Chris Davis, as everything wants to refresh itself as we change session states here. Chris Claude, 169 points, all wrapped up here with Neil Pearson, 169 points apiece. And, of course, I also want to take a quick look here at, of course, our team point standings because, teams here in this league mean a lot. And TCSP E10 Esports leads the way with 863 points. But check this out. 555 collective points between the free agents and 554 between Four Wide Motorsports, just all by their lonesome. We take a peek further down here, and, we, of course, see that Money House Racing, only 30 points. They don't have as many starts on the season yet as, of course, those things just starting to get themselves ready here. As we get deeper into the season, we'll start to see those things clear themselves up as the graphic won't clear itself up. And I'm getting some kind of interference on my end.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that interference, that static is carrying over throughout the broadcast booth. As I'm having a similar issue right now, Dave. But hey, we always fight through it, and we get it right, in just in the nick of time to get these guys under green flag action here. As they're currently in their warm-up session now. Last chance to get this car dialed in for battle. 267 laps, as Dave Regal mentioned at the top of the broadcast.
And, of course, we want to take a look at our qualifying results. Of course, right now we're in the middle of the warm-up session. Patrick Gitter gets himself another pole. That's 2 in a row here in this league. In fact, taking a look right here at the last couple of weeks as we go on back here. Of course, now I can't make my mouse move just fast enough. But Patrick Gitter, this is actually his 3rd pole in a row. 3rd pole for Patrick Gitter. That's impressive. I mean, to be the fastest in qualifying. Of course, last week he also brings home the checkered flag at Martinsville. Let's see if we can get a hold of Patrick right now as I look for him here.
He's the front row Joe of the modern era.
He absolutely. And for you kids, Front Row Joe, of course, Front Row Joe Nemechek. Some of you may know John Hunter Nemechek, but we grew up with Front Row Joe.
Much better personality, if you ask me. You know, the difference is Gitter can finish, where that wasn't Joe's strong suit. Patrick Gitter, Matt and Dave Regal up in the Tony Trapasso Memorial broadcast booth. You got us, bud.
10-4, got you guys.
Well, man, here we are again, another race. Gitter's getting it done on the pole again. I just said you're like the Front Row Joe of the modern era, except you can also finish. How are you able to go out there and make these pole awards look so easy?
Man, part of it's just seat time and practice, getting laps down earlier in the week, practicing separately for race runs versus key trim, and then honestly, this track temperature is so hot right now. And NIS and officials, we haven't seen it this hot yet, so part of it was just kind of taking a stab at some tire pressure adjustments tonight to figure out what might work. So it seemed like it was good enough to get the job done.
Man, you just sucked the wind out of my sails. I was going to ask you about this ungodly high track temp and how you are trying to adjust for it, but you answered my question. I'll tell you what, it seems like no matter what either the track or the competition throws at you, you always have an answer. Hopefully that tire pressure is going to help this car get dialed in, especially when it's hot enough to cook an egg out there on the surface at times. We'll cut you loose, let you go. Good luck out there tonight, Patrick, and congratulations on three straight poles in the Stacy Strong Cup Series.
All right, appreciate it, guys.
And right now, speaking of TCSP E10 Esports, we want to try to get a hold of Matt DiCiani, our points leader. Hey, Matt, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Hey, man, listen, you come in here with another strong lead in the points series tonight, or in the points standings tonight. What are you thinking as we go to Texas, and, you know, what's going to be strategy tonight with your teammate up here on the pole again?
Just survive, really. It's hot, really hot track temp, so just manage tires, really, and just get to stage 3, and then we'll see where we're at and go for it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you've had a long season already. I mean, 7 top 5s, 7 top 10s, 347 points, only 53 incidents. You're probably one of the lower ones here in incidents, you know, up atop the pile. What does, you know, how much of that is heads-up racing and how much of that is just avoidance?
Both. You gotta be smart. You gotta take care of your car. You can't win a race with a damaged car most of the weeks. So, yeah, I mean, it's just race awareness, really. And these are long races, so you just gotta log laps for, 60, 70% of this race, and then go race with what you got left.
All right, my man, listen, good luck. It's time to grid up, so we will see you maybe on the other side.
All right, sounds good.
Well, Matt, that should conclude our pre-race interviews with some of the faces that we're going to see tonight here on the racetrack. Now it's time for the all-important let's get in the doggone cars, because we've been waiting all day for it. I hope that some of you are watching the real race over on Fox. That's over, so now it's time for the Stacy Strong Cup Series. We are the only game in town tonight on Sim Racing Media, and quite frankly, you shouldn't be anywhere else anyway.
Now, you got to be up here with your YouTube dialed into Sim Racing Media for the best sim racing action in prime time every Sunday night. And if you haven't, now is the time to get here while you still got time before these boys take the green flag here momentarily.
Of course, sitting on the pole tonight going to be Patrick Gitter here in the 21. He's going to be joined in the front row by Sean Rogers. Matt DiCiani and Matt Long going to be in row 2, while Derek Heitman and Chris Davis are going to be featured in row number 3. Row 4 made up of Nolan Hodgson and Chris Custer, while Neil Pearson and Dylan Banks round out your top 10. Paul Hill and Dalton Mobley going to be in row number 6, while row 7 going to feature Tanner Marty and Tyler Sexton. Ron Fitting and Michael Witt going to be in 15th and 16th, while Chad Center sits on the inside of Mark Johnston in row number 9. Row 10 and rounding out the top 20, Matt, is Ryan Samuelson, and on his outside going to be Seba Cornez. Kavaja Holt going to be on the inside of row 11 with Eric Papineau. Eric Papineau starting in 22nd. Row 12 going to be Matt Mackin and Chief Cook and Bottle Washer here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series. Chris Claude starting in 24th. Keith Long and Randy Bell going to be in row number 13 with Brian Tarnowski and Alexander Gangler in row 14. Row 15 going to feature Richard Pruitt and Bennett Allen, while Rafael Rodriguez and Alex Princeton are going to be back in row 16. Rich Jett and Ken Ron going to be 34th and 35th, with John Wilco out of McAdoo, Pennsylvania, starting shotgun in the field here in the number 62. So as we had mentioned, 267 laps, the scheduled distance tonight. Patrick Gitter going to have control of the field as the iRacing.com pace car peels on down pit road. The only thing that's left to do is it's time to wipe the visor to just the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab an Alamo beer and settle in. Race fans, it's showtime!
Green flag in the air on the gas, and these guys are already cranking down into turns 1 and 2 for the first time tonight. It's Sean Rockin' Rogers in the 44. He's going to take the lead here early. Don't got to look farther back for that side-by-side action, Dave, as Matt Long and Gitter are already putting each other in the pressure cooker as we go into the 3 and 4 complex.
Side by side they go. We're about to look here at Derek Heitman, who looks on from behind, and at this point Heitman is just trying to find any way that he can get up here. Maybe he's kind of at a stage in this race where he just wants to ride this one out and see what happens, as they're going to hang the 74 of Chris Davis out to dry on the high side. We stay green flag as we come out of turn 2 and down the back chute.
What were you saying about Chris Davis being hung out to dry on the high side? Because he just actually passed DeCiani for that 4th place position. What a power move by the 74. I know that name of the team is Beast Mode, but that was a big-time move out there early.
Yeah, already we see everybody pretty much stringing themselves out single file. And, you know, earlier on in today's real race, I started to see some of those lap times grow by an incredible gap, and I think we're going to see that again tonight.
Absolutely, Dave. With the track temperature, you know, around that 125 degree mark, these tires are going to take an absolute beating as it now drops down to 122. The other thing you got to keep in mind here, Dave, is these drivers, some of them are using 4th gear. That's going to put even more wear and tear on these Goodyear Eagles, especially in the early parts of this race. So we're going to have to monitor this situation as we've got some great side-by-side action here once again going on. There's the 00. Kavaja Holt there on the bottom. He's sporting some new colors here tonight. And we're 3 wide at times going down the backstretch.
Riding along here with Mark Johnston, he just avoided the 3 wide setup here as he rides just on the low side of Michael Witt. He's got the 19 of Alex Princeton just below him. Princeton had jumped to the pits a moment ago, but he is back out on the racetrack. The Newell, North Carolina native here running right now in 20th position. And, you know, here we are, Matt, once again, where all of a sudden we go from nice and steady single file to everybody's getting the hammers and tongs out early to try to get some real estate on this asphalt.
Yeah, and I think that's because, one, this track surface is really hot, so you got to try and get what you can on these restarts. And the other side of that, the dirty air really seems to be magnified at this racetrack. It becomes very difficult to pass. As you see now, here's the 3 of Fitting. He's going to take it to the top shelf where Mama hides the cookies, trying to replicate the success of the 74 at Davis. Was unsuccessful that time, but I think we'll see that trend continue to increase, especially as this track rubbers up. The Sumter, South Carolina native currently runs in that position, Dave.
Even further back here in the field, they're still pretty close. Of course, Waukesha, Wisconsin's very own Brian Tarnowski in the number 28 Chevrolet Camaro, Trisha's Hope Chevrolet Camaro, that is. Of course, without Trisha's Hope, we wouldn't be here tonight, so we first of all want to tip our helmet to them. But second of all, Brian Tarnowski is one of these drivers who over the last few years, he has gotten creepy patient. He's gotten to the point now where he and, you know, his teammates are basically going to hang out and wait for other people to make their mistakes rather than try to, wow, Sean Rogers just dumping through the standings. What in the world happened with Sean Rogers? He had a connection issue. Of course he did. Why not?
Oh, that is heartbreak for Sean Rogers, as he's now back and retains that first place position. I mean, it's side-by-side action here going on with Ryan Samuelson, the Westminster, Maryland native, of course, and always, Dave, your sister's favorite driver. Currently at 18th place position right now. Currently one spot to the good, just inside the top 20. And you know Ryan Samuelson will be looking for more as this race continues to grind on.
Fourth start of the season for Samuelson here in the 81, and he is my sister's favorite driver, even though she's not into dudes. I keep telling him that, and he just doesn't change it. It's fantastic. Tanner Marty here in the 29, getting ready to battle it out with Dylan Banks just ahead of him as we ride along with Tanner Marty. Nobody's really strung too far out with the exception of Sean Rogers, who now leads Matt Long by 1.3 seconds. So we go back here to Tanner Marty as he's looking for a way to get around Dylan Banks. You can almost see a mini draft kick in, but then Banks just gets a run coming into turn 3.
Yeah, and you will utilize a little bit of a draft here from time to time, as you just referenced, Dave. But like you mentioned, when it comes into the turns, if you can get this car to rotate in and carry the speed and throttle off, you're going to be tough to beat right now as we go on board with the 70 being piloted by Dylan Banks. Taking a look out back, because I believe there's a wreck out there on the racetrack, Dave.
Going to take a look back here at Ron Fitting and see what happened. Not sure what exactly broke down here with him. We're going to take a run here, and maybe, just maybe, he got a little loose. I think I see it here, and here it comes. There's Ron Fitting just underneath the 15. That's Bennett Allen. They make a little contact, but I'll tell you what.
What a save.
Wow. Wow. Talk about the benefit of having race radio in your headphones.
That's not a code Brown. That was code everything for the 3. That was probably one of the nicest saves you'll ever see. It almost looked like he thought he was coming to a tandem drift mode versus a NASCAR Cup event. But well done by the 3. Gets it gathered back up, and we stay green.
Bennett Allen now working underneath Ohio's very own Chris Custer, as Allen up 20 positions already after starting in 33rd from the Outlier Speed Company Ford Mustang. And Bennett, usually I'm used to seeing him in a Chevrolet. He switched over to the Dark Horse, and he's closing in on Dalton Mobley, who runs in 12th right now. Dalton Mobley hasn't moved any spots yet. Dylan Banks the same way, as well as Eric Papineau. Almost everybody else has already started shuffling, whether it's good or bad. Going now to take a peek back at our race leader, who right now is Sean Rogers out of Koshkonong, as we try to pull that up. I'm sorry, Kalamazoo, Michigan. I don't know how I got Koshkonong and Kalamazoo mixed up. But Amanda Price in our YouTube.com live chat cheering him on. Speaking of the YouTube.com live chat, if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe to Sim Racing Media. Turn on those bell notifications. We've got 6 nights of racing right now. We'll get to that in a little while as we work lap number 15 on our way to lap 80. And, a long race tonight, 267 total laps. I mean, we say long, it's not that many laps, but, it's grueling for these drivers down here on the asphalt.
It absolutely is. And if you see that in real life from time to time, Dave, how many races these drivers have gotten out of their cars and sat there on the asphalt, dumping a water down the back of their race suit, because it is just grueling out here in these conditions. But I'll tell you who's thriving under the pressure, and that's the Kalamazoo man, Sean Rogers, out there rocking the 44, as he has over a half-second lead on the 97 of Matt Long, as he just now comes into the frame as we widen things out just a little bit.
Going to take a look and see what might have happened with Ken Ron here out of Dillsburg, Pennsylvania. He's running right now in 30th position, drawing in on the 24. And some things shuffling around at the top of the pile once again.
Oh, he got loose off the top.
Oh, a little landscaping never hurt anybody, right? All of a sudden, timing and scoring, it seems like Sean Rogers may be having some kind of a connection issue, because I've watched timing and scoring have a canary a couple of times. We're going to take a peek at Jeff Carson here in the 9, and I'm afraid Jeff Carson might have met the same fate that Ken Ron did. And Jeff is one of these, first of all, he's the mad scientist of, wow, look at that.
What?
Well, you might as well attach a blade to him and mow the grass at that point.
Yeah,
He managed to keep it moving forward.
Yeah, he absolutely did. He took the Evil Knievel line right off the wall, bawed through the grass, and kept on going.
Randy Belk may have met the same fate as he comes out of turn 4. It seems like this is going to be our calamity corner. Just a little bit of air coming off of Eric Papineau from behind, and it was just enough to loosen Belk up, but he doesn't go all the way off track. So great racing so far, and really skilled driving by many of these drivers as we take a peek once again here at Sean Rogers, who now has Matt Long less than 0.2 of a second behind him. All of a sudden, Matt Long has decided he wants a piece of this lead and wants to know if he can challenge the 44. And look at him on the inside.
Matt Long says, it's time to go. I saved my good years, and now I'm going to make you pay. As he turns it hard down to the bottom, it's a drag race. John Ford special style going into 3 and 4. They're still side by side. Matt Long still going to send it in there like grandma's business. Now the 44 surges ahead slightly, and he should be able to get the run off, but Long answers with a, how do he get that run off the bottom?
It had to be a work of art as we still work our way here. Side by side they go. This is quite a battle for the lead as the 97 of Matt Long, that Ford Mustang, goes door handle to door handle with the Chevrolet Camaro of Sean Rogers here. And I'll tell you what, he's got that green paint scheme on for the Masters, and right now he is showing why he, for the time being, is the master of Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, the master of Texas Motor Speedway is still getting a handful as it looks like we're side-by-side racing here back in the 90s before they completely ruined this racetrack, in my opinion. The 97 Matt Long now surges ahead. He now has the lead as I think Rogers realized they were abusing the heck out of those Goodyear Eagles running side-by-side and smartly backs off. And now Matt Long carries the torch here for the first time tonight. Derek Heitman now in that third place position as he is now under siege, going after the 44, who may have used his stuff up here just a little early.
Yeah, it looks like right now they've got Sean Rogers hung out to dry on the outside, and like a freight train, these cars come through. Nolan Hodgson bringing up the rear here as we ride along with him. I mean, you know, Hodgson at this point knows that he's going to be the next person here to strap the hairnet on and serve lunch to Sean Rogers.
Well, hey, if you're serving lunch, hopefully I can get some mini tacos.
The mini tacos or the rectangle pizza. Somehow that was like steak to us as children.
It was like a prime T-bone steak, but it's got to be medium rare. Like if you're eating a steak,
absolutely.
I'm sorry.
And with a little bit of chocolate milk there, maybe the canned peaches.
Not so sure on the chocolate milk, but A1 steak sauce included, we're good to go.
You know, speaking of A1 steak sauce, I want you to go right now. You, sir, not our viewers. They'll get it. But I want you to go right now and look up an image of the A1 steak sauce bottle label, and I want you to tell me what seems a little odd.
The A1 steak sauce bottle label. Dave, I have to say, this is a first during a live broadcast.
Nope, this is basically this is the set and spike. I want you to look at this, and I want you to tell me what seems a little strange.
Copy that. Go ahead and do that now for you.
Jeff Carson, while my esteemed partner goes and tickles my fancy, we're going to take a look here at Jeff Carson once again. Looks like he's going to have gotten loose coming out of 4 one more time here as he makes his way past the pit road entrance. And there's the rear end there from Jeff Carson. He can't be happy, and believe me, as a former teammate of Jeff Carson, I know that that's more frustrating to him than a Keebler Ralph getting demoted to Fudge Packer. Randall Watkins here doing the same thing. It just seems like turn 4, that transition from 4 onto the front stretch is just treacherous. It's almost like, you know, stay close to the candles. The staircase can be treacherous.
Caution.
And we are under caution, which would explain why all of a sudden everything flashed. Not sure what happened here. Sean Rogers showing having gone off track. Maybe he really did cook the bejesus out of these tires. Let's see. I can't even see him. He may have had a connection issue at the same time.
I think
there
he got
coming
lucky.
back on track.
He engaged the flux capacitor.
Obviously, he's got some issues up there in Kalamazoo. So we go to our first caution of the night. Did you get a chance yet to look up that picture?
I'm looking at the label, and
nothing seems strange.
Not really.
It was established in 1862. Do you see that?
Not on this label.
If you look at some of the labels, there should be one where it says established 1862. See if you can find one.
Gotcha.
Folks, I promise this is an exercise in humor. As we are under caution for the first time tonight, everybody going to be coming down pit road is obviously, the 44 found out it doesn't take much to try to cook those tires, as everybody from first all the way down through, looks like P20, P21. Let's just put it this way. Anybody who's on the lead lap and thinks that they've got a shot here, they're coming down pit road. As Matt Long drops here in to pit road, everything flashes because we've got so many cars and it's such a big track. Why not? Just in case we didn't need anything else goofy happening. Did you find the label yet?
I can't answer that live on air.
You didn't find the label?
Well, every time I find the one, my safe search, image privacy, and yet a warning illuminates on my end. So I'm trying to find a safe one.
So let's put it this way. When you eventually do find one, you're going to see the label that says that A1 was established in 1862.
Correct.
What else was going on in the United States in 1862?
You're a funny guy.
So you mean to tell me during the greatest conflagration that this continent has ever seen, that, brother against brother, the bloodiest battles on American soil ever between Antietam was 62, Gettysburg 63. But you mean amidst all of this carnage and death and destruction, somebody said, you know what would really help society right now? A new steak sauce. I'm appalled. You know what? That is so apropos American, it's not even funny. I mean,
it's fitting, but it's not fitting. I mean, why we need steak sauce during the midst of conflict? As you mentioned, one of the biggest ones in our nation's history. But then again,
I mean, from everything that I've read, I don't think that soldiers were eating steak. In fact, the pieces of meat that they were getting, some of the cavalry officers were putting them under their saddles to tenderize the meat, for crying out loud. Steak sauce wasn't helping.
Yeah, or save their meat from obviously rubbing raw, all that horseback riding they had to do back in that time.
I can only imagine the chafage.
All I can tell you this from my military experience, the chafage was real after a 10K. I can't even imagine what it was like after going out there, round trench warfare style, or not even before that, just out there just marching everywhere you're going for hundreds of miles. That had to have been hell for those guys.
And for every bottle of Tough Actin' Tinactin they gave you, it was thank you for your service.
Could never get too much Tough Actin' Tinactin.
Look, sometimes I get chafage just walking up the hill at work 2 or 3 times a day. It's the struggle is real here in the first world, let me tell you. But yep, 1862, let's create a steak sauce. That'll get everybody's mind off of, their nephew being killed in a battlefield. It's fine.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to do this live on air, but my brother just looked over at me. He's watching you live, and he said, 1862 Columbus sailed the ocean blue. No, that is not it. That is not it. That's 1492.
I don't want to make any assumptions, but did he go to meth class instead of math class? Was that
that's debatable.
Was that history or hysterical? That's different.
Oh my!
Yeah, 1862.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. It's 1492.
1492. Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
Sailed the ocean blue, right?
And he didn't really find America. He found Cuba and Puerto Rico. Do you think they had empanadas?
Probably not. Well, let's just ask my brother. He apparently knows everything. So, anyways, enough about him. But I had to share that with you guys.
See, now that I know that there's another one of you, I know that we can get together, and this will be just fine. Speaking of getting together, Patrick Gitter's going to sit on top of the pile for the first time since we saw the initial green flag. Oh, happy day. There's another flicker of internet signal. Gitter going to sit on the inside with Derek Heitman on the high side, Nolan Hodgson, Neil Pearson, and Paul Hill, your top 5. Matt, we're getting ready to go back green.
Getting ready to go back green here once again here in Texas. Gitter on the front row here. He's going to have the trigger back in the Geico restart zone. Gitter said it's time to get good and get gone as he jumps out to a 3-4 car length advantage over Heitman, who, if he doesn't get down to the bottom quick, is going to have a bumper full of Hodgson, and he clears just in time as the front two get a great entry and exit off a 2 down the backstretch, Dave, and look at the 58 rocket on past Hodgson.
Hodgson's got to be hot over that one because the 58 just came through and said, oh, hello. I think he even waved on the way by with like a little waggle of the fingers out of the window net. I hope he wasn't trying to change the aerodynamics of the car.
You know, I know we didn't have the right camera angle, but if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say he got a huge run there on the high side of turns 1 and 2 and was able to carry that momentum right on past the 58. Like he had 500 more horsepower as he just motored right on by, took the spot. Is now Pearson suddenly in that 3rd place position as Allen and Hodgson round out the top 5 through 33 laps of competition.
Of course, Neil Pearson had to be the farthest traveler today, of course, coming out of Perth, Australia. And now Bennett Allen here in the 15. He is suddenly chasing down the leaders. Bennett Allen seems to have made a quick adjustment here as we get ready to cross for lap number 35. He draws in, wow, way close to Gitter. Almost has to check up. He's going to follow Derek Heitman along out of turn number 4. He looks to the inside. Here comes Bennett Allen challenging for the lead alongside Derek Heitman.
He must have been watching me race at Talladega on Thursday night because he looks like me out there right now as he cranks it down to the bottom hard, and now he is all over Heitman. He's going to get him loose, make him wash up the racetrack. Side by side they go. As the 76 gets a little bit of a run there. He's going to be able to clear him back, but now back all over him using the chrome horn already, and he nudges him again off the corner, almost gets Heitman into the wall.
Side by side they go, crossing the start-finish line, heading down toward turns 1 and 2. Bennett Allen in the JCTV Outlier Speed Company Ford Mustang manages to finally get around Derek Heitman. What a battle we just had for the last 2.5 laps, as now here on lap 36, a new race leader, Bennett Allen, shows the way here at Texas Motor Speedway. Looking further back here, all of a sudden another battle breaking out as Neil Pearson and Nolan Hodgson getting ready to go at it.
What has happened inside the 15? Because Allen has become possessed out there. I don't think I've ever seen him drive that hard since I've been up here with SRM in the broadcast booth, as he is now suddenly almost a half a second ahead of Heitman and the rest of the competition. But Dave, that hornet's nest is building right around that 58 of Pearson for that 5th place position. You got about 4 or 5 cars right there. You can pitch a 10 over top of these guys, as here comes Hodgson working on the high side.
Running right back here to Sean Rogers. All of a sudden, we see him getting ready to try to make a run. Side by side he goes with Paul Hill in the 6. There's a lot of traffic right now around the 44. These drivers are out here hot and heavy on lap 38. We're almost at halfway through stage 1. Just one caution so far tonight as we work lap 38. And I'll tell you what, you talked about Bennett Allen and the aggression that he just came through here with. Now, he, of course, is the 2022 MNN Xfinity Series champion. Wasn't able to seal the deal last year in 23, but I'll tell you what, Bennett Allen is one of those drivers that who's able to get it done. If you ever saw him race side by side with his brother Preston, you would just sit there with your jaw on the desk.
Unfortunately, I never had the opportunity to witness it, but I would love to see it based upon what you're saying there, Mr. Regal. As we go now to the eye in the sky, Jimmy Hagenfelder with the chopper cam. Watching here, Sean Rogers close in on Pearson once again. Like I was mentioning earlier, Dave, with these track temperatures as high as they are, that second line may come into play here as you see more drivers starting to adventure up the hill like the 50 as we're taking a look at him right now there as he's side by side. Look at him doing the Indy snake down the backstretch. These drivers are all out and we're halfway through the stage.
Well, and this is the only way that these drivers are even going to develop that top line. Somebody's got to be brave enough to go up there and try to start putting some rubber on that thing, you know, or the occasional tight driver who just slides up there and puts a little bit of grease there in that upper line. You know, here's the thing: if you don't try it, it's not going to work. So all of a sudden, I'm looking here, and the Trisha's Hope drivers, Alexander Gangler, Brian Tarnowski, they're all starting to come together here as all of a sudden Brian Tarnowski under assault from Matt Mackin in the 01.
Matt Mackin is yakking tonight in that Ford Mustang Dark Horse. He's got something to contend with tonight. And just as I say that, here comes the 00. Charging hard on the inside. He's going to take that spot. He's trying to rob him point blank in broad daylight as Mackin fights back on the high side.
The 00 driven by Kavaja Holt, who right now is down a lap. He's trying to hold on to that position ahead of Alex Princeton, who is right now just charging down at him as we're going to go back here to Princeton and see what he's trying to go after. Of course, you know, with Kavaja ahead of him, the question for the Lake Elmo, Minnesota native is pretty simple. Do you want to try to run Hodgson down, or Holt down, or do you want to back off and just kind of wait for the next caution? You know, for Alex Princeton, I would be willing to bet that he tries to at least make this a good competition for that lucky dog spot one lap down.
Yeah, Alex Princeton, I mean, as good as the competition is in this series, and I know I say that a lot, yeah, you cannot slouch. You have to fight. Oh, he gets loose off the top. King Kong,
oh my
bam,
God.
bam, and we are wrecking all over the place.
We stayed green.
How is, what?
We stayed green. Everybody went forward. We're going to run this back.
Only in Texas, ladies and gentlemen.
Look at that. The ricochet out of... Okay, I'm going to have to run this back. It looks like the ricochet out of Alex Princeton is what managed to keep everything green flag here as we're going to take a peek coming out of... Here it is, turn 4.
They just pulled the class...
a little loose.
Gets a little loose there, tries to drive it, and then they pull the classic Three Stooges right here. They got parts flying everywhere, coming down right into the grandstand.
Did he actually park in his pit box? I think he did. I think he did.
I have officially
Almost.
seen everything. Close enough.
Yeah, it doesn't get much closer, but we stay green flag racing here on lap 46. Bennett Allen, your race leader now, 1.12 seconds ahead of Derek Heitman in the 76. Folks, that almost never happens to us here in the broadcast booth where we're riding along with somebody trying to talk about their strategy, and all of a sudden, boom goes the dynamite right in our face. I kind of feel like a cartoon character who just lost his eyebrows.
Yeah, Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner all day.
You know, I've gone shopping at the Acme grocery store and never once saw any TNT.
You got to look behind the anvils.
Oh, that's where it was. See, the anvils are never on sale, so I don't really go near them.
That's where they hide all the good stuff. Is Bennett Halen there?
If we played volleyball, I would set and you would spike.
Hey, let's go. I'm still down for some volleyball.
To be fair, I can only set because Fat Boy can't jump.
Well, if you can set it, I can spike it.
Taking a look right now at Alexander Gangler, who's driving like a possessed demon here in the 8 car.
Oh, no.
Oh, I said possessed demon. I didn't say... Never mind. I almost got thrown off the air. Never mind.
And that makes everyone behind him check up, and we almost had about 3 different incidents there, 3 wide, and now we get it sorted out as everyone's scrambling, trying to get their cars back under them from that massive woulda, coulda, shoulda. And we still stay green almost through 50 laps of competition.
You know, folks, this is why we tell you that you have to tune in with us here, because you never know what you're going to see when you come to the racetrack with Matt and me.
or what stories we're going to dig up and throw into the show as well.
Right. I mean, who else was tuning in tonight thinking they would learn about A1 steak sauce?
Definitely not me at the top of this broadcast. But hey, that's a part of the ride. You never know what's going to happen on the track or up in the booth.
It's the only place in life that I'm fully allowed to just drive and lead where I go. And thank God I've got a co-pilot like you. Oh, near contact there between the 80 and the 59 of Seba Cornez. Mark Johnston nearly fried his own chicken as he is the meat in the middle of that sandwich.
Well, apparently the Colonel likes his extra crispy.
Oh, he almost did it.
Oh, he got really close, didn't he? Oh, and he gets loose off the top. The 17 goes Dale Earnhardt mode through the grass. These guys are just wild right now. Absolutely wild.
You know, we can say wild as much as we want, but these drivers are doing it wild and keeping it green. I think that's the most exciting thing. Suddenly I just devolved into Chris Collinsworth. But, you know, I'm watching these drivers do this, and they're doing it cleanly. There's nobody, you know, yeah, we've had some people go through the grass and so on and so forth, but the chrome horn hasn't even been a factor tonight as we look back here at Alexander Gangler, who's side-by-side with his teammate Brian Tarnowski. Tarnowski on the low side coming into turn one, gets the edge over Gangler, who last week even had a shot to nearly, you know, capture that top three toward the end of the Martinsville race.
Yeah, and we couldn't get away from a caution flag at Martinsville, but here tonight, I'm going to make a 90s joke. They're doing it and doing it and doing it well. LL Cool J, of course, is here we go. Brian Tarnowski and the 8 going at it here once again. No tires, no problem, and he disappears and comes back in. No harm, no foul.
I feel like we're talking to an entire generation who only knows LL Cool J and Ice-T as actors and not rappers.
Well, to be very fair, I was a very young lad riding the school bus with a Walkman when that song came out, but that's the inner DJ in me speaking.
Was the Walkman a cassette tape or a CD?
Well, initially it started out with the OG, a hand-me-down, and then I got the Walkman Discman. They also had the AM/FM tuner built into that thing. That thing was like
little digital tuner right there on the screen.
Yep.
Yeah, you could check traffic for the bus driver. They were always thrilled if you told them. or that terrible headset that just had the aluminum that went across the top of your head to connect those terrible little headphones. But you see, kids, we're talking about headphones and Walkmans and Discmans. Now, a Discman had a CD and a compact disc. It was before MP3s and streaming.
Right. And if you didn't have a good Discman, you didn't have electronic skip protection, which means every time you hit a bump, your music would cut and then come back in.
But you couldn't afford to keep yourself in batteries if you turned that ESP on, because that suddenly chewed up batteries like a snapper lawnmower.
Yeah, I would need 4 batteries to get to and from school between the bus ride there and home. I'd go through a pack of Energizers if I wanted my music uninterrupted.
See, I was very fortunate. My dad was a maintenance guy and could just get the maintenance pack of AA batteries. Not that, actually, I think most of the people he worked with back then are retired or dead. But so nobody's going to snitch the old man out. But you know, we had the industrial type of AA batteries. So Dad just kept bringing them home, and I kept chewing through them.
You had the industrial Duracells, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
I still got a couple of those laid around somewhere.
Don't touch them.
No, it's more of just like a, hey, remember those? I would dare not try to use them.
You know, as I'm looking at timing and scoring, speaking of industrial, our biggest gap here on the racetrack right now is between Matt DiCiani and Matt Long. There's 3 seconds between 9th and 10th. And then all of a sudden, there's another little group of cars that's tailed off by Richard Pruitt, who's 1.4, almost a second and a half ahead of Mark Johnston, back here in the 80 Kentucky Fried Chicken machine. So 3 distinct groups have now formed here on the racetrack, and everything else is in red and orange.
Yeah, everything else is far, few, and in between. Very reminiscent of what you would see at Daytona or Talladega after a green flag pit stop or 2. But nonetheless, that's currently what's out on the racetrack right now. However, Dave, we do have stages coming. So Even though it's all strung out right now, we're going to bottle them back up again. Oh! The KFC machine hits the wall, gets another piece of it. The Colonel has gone off the rails.
Well, I would say that the Colonel went off the rails the day that he was trying to shoot someone to protect his gas station and his precious chicken. For more information like that, tune into The Food That Built America on the History Vault, available to stream on any of your streaming platforms. Not that I'm trying to get a free subscription or anything, you folks at History and A&E.
Gotta love Dave Regal, man. No one quite like you, bud.
I am shameless when it comes to sponsor plugs.
He's an affiliate without being one. As we go back on board here now, Bennett Allen. The Tennessee man must be sipping on some good whiskey tonight because he has been absolutely electric. As Dave mentioned, the 2022 Xfinity Series champion out here tonight, just getting after it early as he is applying a lot of pressure on Sean Rogers in the Beast Mode Camaro just in front. As we go on board, looking out the nose, he's going to take it now to the high side. Top shelf for Mama Hides, the cookies. He's going to come in, make contact with the 44.
I don't know if you just heard that on race radio.
Loud and clear.
Sean Rogers just got on race radio and said to Bennett Allen, go around because I don't want you wrecking me. Everybody suddenly knows that Bennett Allen apparently works for the Department of Transportation in, let's just assume New England, even though that he's from Chattanooga. But let's just assume New England, where he's got a V-plow attached to the front of this Ford Mustang.
They don't call it the dark horse for nothing. That was probably one of the most interesting pieces of radio I've heard in a while, where Sean Rogers just like, go around, dude. I want nothing of it.
He reaches out the window with his whole arm and just says, go around, go around.
Everything. Throw the flares, throw everything.
Oh, my. Nearly a Code Brown moment as it looks like Randall Watkins trying to bring the 27 back under control here on lap number 63. We've got about 17. Oh, he is loose as a goose.
He's loose again. Dave, these tires, they cannot take the punishment that these drivers are trying to serve up right now. As good as the racing action has been, the Dr. Feelgoods are Dr. Feelbads. I mean, look at the Colonel. He's all out of shape. He's been out of shape for the past 5-6 laps. And as we continue to press on, listen to this throttle management right now as we go on board.
Listening right now to Randall Watkins, who, as we ride along with him, of course, now I just lost it. There he goes.
Listen to that off time. He's still barely on it.
Yeah, he is babying it out of 1 and 2 down the back chute. Watch this wheel. Now, he's got the offset tilted just to the right a little bit, but he's turning and the car is not.
And you can see how it wants to push, snap loose, and that's why we're having all these problems off of 4.
Of course, he is my brother from the 305 down to the Miami-Dade Fire and Rescue, as he is now going to be splitting the difference. Oh, my, between the 35 and the 9. I don't like this at all. Nearly 4 wide they go. God.
No. They pulled it off. Are you kidding me?
Pulled it off. I think I stopped breathing for a second. It's like I took a hit of California catatonic.
I got to get out the jaw jack to get my jaw off the floor as well.
Patrick Gitter getting ready to be challenged here by Nolan Hodgson in this battle for second position. We're going to pull up the battle box and take a peek here. Of course, it thinks that we're trying. There it goes. Battle for second. Just 0.3 of a second now between Hodgson and Patrick Gitter. As we roll it out of turn 4 once again, all of a sudden, of course, as soon as I bring the graphic up as they come down the back chute, they back off and let things cool down.
They love to do that. And it's not just this league. It's, you swear they're listening to you. And as much of a compliment as that is, some of these guys, they do it just to mess with the broadcast booth. If you take a look there, you can see the interval as we go over the last handful of laps or so. As now as we approach lap 67, plus 0.36 seconds. You can see how that interval continues to widen out is Heitman clearly doing a great job in the tire management department in that ZL1 Camaro. The fastest car on the racetrack is also your leader here tonight. As we now approach lap 69, 68 written in the history books already thus far from Texas.
Yeah, and as they cross, it looks like Gitter decides to lay down another lap that was about a tenth faster than Heitman. And that's what we're going to start to see. Now, I don't think that we'll see it this time through as we're so late in stage one, but at least moving forward, once we get another good long green flag run, we're going to see those times start to equal themselves out ever so gently as we take a look here at the 12 of Nolan Hodgson, still trying to close in on Patrick Gitter, but he's got a rear view mirror full of Neil Pearson as we look on back to Pearson.
The Pied Piper, Neil Pearson in his Camaro. Lamar's Ira representing here well once again in the Stacy Strong Cup Series as he now closes in on the business end of Hodgson. That Camaro is lurking. Does he make a move into 3 and 4? He thinks about it. He goes for it. He turns it down low. Hodgson in the 12 is going to wash up to the high side. Do they make it off at turn 4? Remember, it has been treacherous, and they do. The high side still prevails, but here comes him on the bottom, Dave.
Side by side, they go into turns 1 and 2. All of a sudden, Nolan Hodgson under assault from the 58 of Neil Pearson, who secures P3 for the time being. They come out of 2. They're still side by side as we go to zoom in right close on. They are door handle to door handle as we come into 3 and 4. These drivers aren't trying to give up anything on this racetrack. We've got another battle brewing between Sean Rogers and Paul Hill, but we got to keep it right here because this is just that good. As I'm just going to take a peek back here. Sean Rogers and Paul Hill in the 97. Sorry, Sean Rogers and Matt Long in the 97 are side by side. So we've got 2 great battles on the racetrack to watch and only one camera that we can see at a time.
Yeah, right now we need multiple camera crews and points of view for all you guys at home to cover all this great action here. Is now Hodgson and Pearson have it settled. Check the box, move the 58 ride up into that 3rd and final podium position. But something tells me Hodgson isn't finished yet. He's probably just letting those tires cool down a little bit, Dave.
Checking out Bennett Allen. Go ahead.
Going back now to Bennett Allen. Dave, this man is like wildfire here in Texas. Up 28 spots. Not 8, not 18. Oh, as he goes through the grass, the broadcaster's curse is real. Bennett, I am sorry.
Bennett Allen running in P5 seems to have cooked those tires as we suddenly have a battle for the lead here in the closing laps of stage number 1. Side by side go Derek Heitman and Patrick Gitter. Gitter on the high side, Heitman on the low. They come out of 1 and 2. All of a sudden, Heitman just slides it right in front of his teammate in the 21 as we go down here into 3 and 4. They've got to get around Mark Johnston in the 80. The Colonel has to give way to a couple of sergeants for the time being as Heitman, with just a few laps left here in stage number 1, secures the lead away from Patrick Gitter.
Yeah, secures the lead away as he threw on a Louisville slider unintentionally on his teammate. These drivers are probably praying, doing anything they possibly can do to get to lap 80 because these tires are absolutely gone. They are shot. We go on board now with Chris Claude in that 10 ride. Similar situation for Claude. His pace is way off. Last time by, he's in the 33-second bracket, a 33.57 compared to his best lap of a 30.74. That's almost 3 seconds of give up for the for the 10, who's in that 28th position, Dave.
Yeah, Chris just has no grip left in these tires here as he goes down a lap. Now, as it stands for the time being, Chris is going to be the lucky dog with 5 laps to go here in stage number 1. So with 5 to go, Derek Heitman, your new race leader, we've had another lead change atop this pile as he leads Patrick Gitter by now a quarter of a second. 4 laps to go. Neil Pearson running in 3rd, Nolan Hodgson in 4th, and Matt DiCiani has now secured 5th position as Bennett Allen has bled back into 7th.
Yeah, Bennett Allen clearly. I mean, you mentioned those tires were smoked. He has smoked everything through the field. I mean, how he has gained that many spots is just incredible. Now we go back to the eye in the sky. There's Matt Long firing through on the bottom. There's Chris Claude. Oh, he almost got hit by the Colonel, but they do not make contact, as now Long has the laser dialed in on the 74 of Chris Davis. That if he does make that pass, that would be for position. And just in front of Davis, the 14 of Matt DiCiani. That's the top 5 just in front of these two that are battling hard. And here comes Long punching it down to the floorboards on the top side. And he's going to complete the pass as the 74 of Davis lifts, and smartly does, as they are just absolutely no grip out there on the racetrack right now. You got to be smart if you're going to choose to pull the trigger and make a pass right now.
2 laps to go here in stage 1. Derek Heitman, your race leader, 0.3 of a second ahead of Patrick Gitter. The battle is not over for many of these drivers, including Richard Pruitt, way back here in 19th position, but he's trailing ever so gently behind Eric Papineau, about 1/4 of a second. Another close battle. Chris Davis trying to chase down Matt DiCiani, as DiCiani still trying to get himself up here to Matt Long in the 97. It looks like Matt Long going to wash up the racetrack as we are on the final lap of stage number 1. Derek Heitman leading the way, getting around now the 35 of Tyler Sexton. So that's going to move Sexton into the lucky dog slot. Chris Claude now coming down pit road, as pit road should be closed right now. So I don't know how on earth Claude is coming down.
Yeah, I would have to think that pit road would be closed, so that should be a penalty unless pit road did not close on time. We'll have to check that. As lap 81 now on the board, and
we're waiting for Sean Rogers to cross the start-finish line. When he does, the caution flag flies, and stage 1 is in the books. Derek Heitman brings home the green and white checkered flag. He's followed by Patrick Gitter, Neil Pearson, Nolan Hodgson, Matt Long, Matt DiCiani, Chris Davis, Dylan Banks, Bennett Allen, and Sean Rogers in the 44. So an interesting move by Chris Claude. I'm not sure what the deal is with Chris. Going to have to check in with him.
He may have blown a tire there, Dave. He may have popped the tire.
Maybe so. As Derek Heitman going to have to get caught up here with the all-important. What's going on here? My goodness. Oh, now I saw your message. That's great. And Alex Princeton just sent me a DM saying that now he knows how he got loose because we were riding along with him. As we're going to get a hold of stage 1 winner, Derek Heitman, driver, the number 76. Hey, Derek, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, Dave, what's going on?
Listen, Matt and I have been watching everything we've been trying to watch everything going on the racetrack right now. You were just making a dominant move over Patrick Gitter, your teammate. How's the 76 feeling right now?
Give me about 20 seconds to get in my pit box.
20 seconds it is. You know, Matt, this has been an incredible stage 1 as we watch Derek Heitman come on down pit road. We want to give him enough time so he can focus on what he's got to do, because it's got to be all but perfect as he's going to slide into that number 5 pit box.
Yeah, because these guys, there's definitely not any rubber left on those Goodyears. I can promise you that. You know, the 76 Heitman, he could hit this pit box with his eyes closed. Until you have basically you're riding on the rim out there. And as hard as these guys have been racing, combined with this track texture and temperature, I assure you that's exactly what it is. As he now gets his stop done in a beautiful execution there coming off pit road. Heitman is going to retain the lead as he leads Hodgson, Pearson, Matt DiCiani, and Davis. That's the top 5 as they come off of pit road. Derek, Matt up in the booth. You got me, bud.
Hey, Matt. Hey, thanks, gentlemen, for letting me get in my box there. That's just always very difficult. You got to hear the countdown, concentrate. But going pretty good. Race is pretty good. I kind of caught the end of who's in here. I think Dave. I caught the end of Dave's question. And, yeah, Pat and I had a really good battle. Once he caught up to me, I was pretty nervous. I thought he was just going to blow my doors off. But I think he pushed a little too hard to get around me. And I bet he won't make that mistake again later. So I think he's the car to beat tonight. And I think I'd just take my stage points now when I can get them.
You know, I have one more question for you, Derek, if you got the time. You know, I know a lot of you guys are running 4th gear out there tonight. But with this track temperature as hot and spicy as it's been, and the level of racing, is that coming back, you think, to haunt some of these guys? Because we've seen just some incredible fall off in the lap times, and just the way that some of these cars are just breaking, losing grip at places that you guys typically don't out there on the racetrack. Are these tires that big of a problem right now, or an issue, I should say?
It's definitely hot and slippery. My tire wear there was 13% more split to the right rear, and I wasn't even pushing it very hard. So tires are definitely screaming for mercy. I'm running 4th gear. Once I hit a certain lap time, I'll quit shifting into 5th. I kind of have a mental note of what that is, but that's also just helped me slow down getting into 1, because things starts to get a little tight as the tires fall off of it. So I mean, it's just such a pace-oriented race, and I think iRacing needs to take notes and see all they have to do to get good races out of the next-gen car in A opens is raise the track temps.
Hey, there you go. And take his word for it, ladies and gentlemen. He knows how to get it done here in iRacing. Always can count on him to be in the conversation or in the lead as he's taken stage 1 here in Texas. Dave Regal, back to you. And Derek, best of luck the rest of the way. Thanks for coming up in the booth and speaking to us, my man.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Well, here we are getting ready to start stage number 2 now. Of course, we're going to run all the way to lap 160, so it's going to be that kind of a night now, or 165, I believe. I'm going to just double check my numbers here. It's going to be 165 that we run to, so about 80 laps to the end of stage number 2. So, this time the stages are going to be equal as the lights go out here on the iRacing.com pace car. These drivers put on one heck of a show. I mean, just one caution in that whole first segment as we roll it on through here through turn number 1.
Yeah, that one should have been more like 6. If these guys just, not only displayed excellent high-octane racing, but some incredible saves right along with it. It doesn't get any better than that on a 1.5 miles.
No, at a place like this, first of all, sometimes you have to understand the iRacing the iRacing algorithm. As soon as that car goes perpendicular to the racetrack, that's when all of a sudden, the caution comes out. And if you don't want to be at fault for bringing out a caution, you've got to keep that car pointed forward. As we get ready to haul it here into turns 3 and 4, the iRacing.com pace car leading us back to green. Matt, take it away. We're going to get back to racing.
You got it, Dave. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. The calm before the storm. It may seem all calm and cool, but it's about to be a Category 5 hurricane here in about 15 seconds. They got the grip back in the Dr. Feelgood, so they are going to let him rip once again back in the Geico restart zone. Heitman is going to put it through the floorboards, up through the gearbox, and he checks out of Dodge with a beautiful restart. Hodson and Pearson, they're going to battle it out as they dive bomb it into 1 and 2, side by side. They ain't giving up, and here comes Hodson. He's peeking on the inside.
Nearly going 3 wide as we come down the back chute. It looks like the 97 of Matt Long wants to push the 14 of Matt DiCiani, our points leader, as we come through turns 3 and 4 out of the back chute. And I'll tell you what, if there's anybody that you're going to be here on the racetrack with that's going to keep it steady, it's going to be DiCiani. He's managed to be the most consistent driver so far this season as he is side by side with Nolan Hodgson. As we look from the eye in the sky, we go back down here closer to the racing surface. And I'll tell you what, Matt, wow, they all whip it out of turn 2. This is really, seriously, the best race that I've seen so far this season from these drivers.
Oh, by far. And I got to agree with Heitman. You want to make these cars really fun, turn the track temperature way up, and watch us go to war. And this is absolutely all out nuts. I don't know how else to describe it. I can't believe what I'm seeing out there. Dalton Mobley taking it up the racetrack. I'm not sure if he slipped or intentionally took it upstairs like that. As we got some hardcore side-by-side racing behind him. There's the 21 of Gitter trying to make his way back through traffic.
A rub out of the wall by Paul Hill in the 6. As he comes across the start-finish line, Hill keeps it steady. These drivers, they're almost expecting to hit that outside wall, and they're able to keep it nice and steady as Hill is going to work the high side over top of Dalton Mobley as they are side-by-side looking to get around Dylan Banks. And Dylan Banks isn't about to give that spot up easily as First he lets Paul Hill go by, and now he's going to hold off Mobley.
You know, that's impressive. Paul Hill just went up there and high-fived the wall coming out of 4, which has been treacherous. Even by yourself, you have a high probability hitting that wall. And what did he do, Dave? He kept it on the high side the rest of the way around the racetrack again and comes back and snags 2 spots as Hill is now up into that 9th place position.
Looking from behind out of the back door of Dylan Banks back at Dalton Mobley. You know, every time I say Mobley, I try not to say Mowgli like he's the man cub from the Jungle Book. As we look back here at Dalton, I mean, everybody through the field basically has gone single file, but I do see a battle starting to break out a little further back here with Eric Papineau. And all of a sudden, Papineau here in the 17 trying to assault Chris Custer, and Custer able to drive the Coca-Cola machine just that much further away. I'll tell you what, that thing is all kinds of cranked up tonight. Custer driving with a purpose, trying to get back up into 8th position where he had qualified.
Yeah, driving with a purpose indeed tonight, as we've seen him, one of the guys that went for a ride in the grass but did not bring out the caution, now falling back just a little bit as we continue to run single file here at Texas. And Dave, I think the biggest reason these drivers applying what they learned here in the first stage, they can run side by side, but they pay hard. They pay a hard premium in the tire department, and that's probably why we're seeing them take it a little bit easier right now, especially in the early going of stage 2.
Look at this top 5 right now, all the way back through Bennett Allen in 6th position. Bennett Allen running in 15th, now the top 7. Everybody is nose to tail. I mean, right now, just 0.8 of a second from 1st all the way back to 7th. Just 1 second separating 1st from 10th as we get through here on lap number 93. Dave Regal and Matt Metler with you here in the Sim Racing Media broadcast booth, and we want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. As all of you have come to find us, as I see Barrett Coffee, of course, another Super Speedway whisperer. I'll tell you what, I got some of the best advice from Barrett Coffee a couple of years ago, and you know, as far as qualifying on super speedways, he used to run in this league, and I'll tell you what, I do miss him because he was one heck of a competitor. And with that in mind, we're going to step aside and take our first break here on Sim Racing Media. I'm Dave Regal, he's Matt Metler, and this is SRM.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds Williams is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom. Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh my
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. Dave Riegel and Matt Metler with you here in the SRM broadcast booth. We have been watching during the commercial break as we were side by side an incredible battle between Derek Heitman and Bennett Allen as Bennett Allen was desperately trying to get around Heitman here on lap 101. And now all of a sudden we have to start to wonder whether or not Bennett actually wound up using too much of his tires and too much of that grip in the 15. He looks to make another attack now. You know, Bennett is one of those drivers where he doesn't, try to replan or back off or anything. He reloads. 102 laps in the book so far as we work our way toward lap 165 here at Texas Motor Speedway. This is the Stacy Strong Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series. Of course, brought to you by Trisha's Hope. And we are glad to be with you tonight as Derek Heitman leads the way. He's under attack from Bennett Allen, who used the chrome horn to dig up through the standings tonight. He's up 31 positions after starting back in 33rd. So he's driving like a possessed demon out here on the racetrack. We were losing our minds during the commercial break watching this battle form itself up, and now it's almost like they waited until we came back to see what's about to happen next, as we see Bennett Allen starting to creep in along the high side now of Derek Heitman.
Whoa. It's almost like Bennett Allen's driving like someone questioned the size of the lug nuts on his race car before the race, because this man has came through the field like a knight back in medieval times, slicing, dicing, bopping people out of the way, hip check, poke check, you name it. He has done everything, and he is giving the business right now to the 76 of Heitman. It is like he has no regards for the tire wear. He does not care. Bennett Allen wants this lead, and he is going for it through treacherous turn 4. He almost gets a piece of the wall. Heitman's not budging. They're still side by side.
Matt Long sitting behind, looking to capitalize on this as he's ready to hang Allen out to dry as he gets the 97 nudged in just underneath the 15. And now as we come out of turn 2, it's suddenly a three-way battle for the lead as we turn lap 105. All of a sudden, these three cars are out here challenging for the lead. Now Matt Long backs off and gets a little closer to Nolan Hodgson, who looks on from behind. Nolan Hodgson suddenly going to be challenged by the 58 of Neil Pearson. We're working here on lap 106 now as we cross the start-finish line. They go side by side, do Hodgson and Pearson. And, every time I say Pearson, I feel like all of a sudden, we're back in the 70s and we're watching that Pearson.
Yeah, I agree with you. It brings me back there, or watching the NASCAR Classics on NASCAR.com, side by side now with the 12. Look how they manage that gap so easily. That spacing that they have from one another. That's really hard to do, especially when the racetrack's this hot and at a place like Texas where these walls come up quick, fast, and in a hurry. The 58 with a slight advantage here is not giving up on the high side. And their momentum swing is going to be off the top, and now you're going to see that dark horse surge back ahead. However, if you rip the bottom, that's the shortest way around this place. Oh, the 15 gets big time loose off the top. He keeps his foot in it. I cannot believe the urgency, the energy, the drive that's coming out of the 15 of Bennett Allen tonight. This is absolutely next level from the driver of that dark horse Ford Mustang. He will stop at nothing to get the lead.
Who in the world is all over the racetrack in front of Derek Heitman? My goodness. Is that the 80 of Mark John? Nope, that's not the 80.
That's not the Colonel.
That was the 8. That was Gangler all over the racetrack trying to avoid the leaders as he's now gone up against the wall. Alexander Gangler, of course, former race control extraordinaire here in the SNN Cup Series. He spent several years at the controls of race control. And now he is back here in the 8 car, replacing yours truly in that number. And I'll tell you what, he is just trying to hold it down and, keep things together, trying to stay out of the way.
Yeah, he's really exploring the space out there, and not for good reason. Is clearly he has a problem, and he's trying to hold on for dear life right now. Is now that battle here at the front of this piece has tapered off, is Bennett Allen is suddenly back to that 5th place position. I don't know when that happened, but if you take a look at timing and scoring, Dave, Bennett Allen is now suddenly in 5th.
It never seems to fail that somebody texts you in the middle of a race. If they were really good friends, they'd at least know what you were up to on a Sunday night as we work lap 110 here at Texas Motor Speedway. You're watching the Stacy Strong Cup Series right here on Sim Racing Media. Dave Riegel and Matt Metwiller with you here in the broadcast booth as Kathy Ekman from up at Zion UCC in Lehighton, PA, just dropping in to give me a little text. And it's like, she sent me a TikTok link, and it's like, hey, listen, tune into the race instead of trying to make me watch some goofy video.
The best part is when they act like they have no idea what you're doing.
Right.
But yet you've told them for the past year that, hey, Sunday nights at this time I'm doing this. They still don't know.
It is what it is, but it's all right, Kathy. I still love you, even though that you decide to try to distract me. You got to remember, I'm very easily distractible. I mean, look, a fuzzy bunny. Something shiny.
Squirrel.
Oh, where?
See, that's my point.
As we take a look at Bennett Allen one more time, he's got Matt DiCiani underneath him now. Bennett Allen is suddenly tumbling through the standings, now running in 6th position. He's battling it out now with Matt DiCiani, our points leader. The outlier Speed Machine, JCTV Ford Mustang, trying to hold on to 5th position as we close in on the end of stage number 2. We're working lap 113 of 267 on our way to 165. And I'll tell you what, folks, we've only seen one caution for cause so far, and that's A-OK with Matt and I.
Love it. Keep it long, keep it green. Definitely make it up for, I know, a little bit of a lackluster performance there last week, especially as we kick things off. But these guys have really made up for it, as we've seen the best racing by far all season long here at Texas through 114 laps of competition. And I got to agree with Heitman once again. You want to fix the racing problem with these next gens, crank the track temp way, way up. And it has been absolutely thrilling. I don't even have the words to describe how good the racing has been, as Heitman has still found a way to keep the lead over Matt Long.
Matt Long now up here to challenge Derek Heitman on lap 115. Now, you got to remember, these cars last pitted on lap 82, so we're going to take a look right here at our pit strategy graphic. 32 laps on these tires, so we're about 4 laps away from the beginning of the next cycle of green flag pit stops here at Texas Motor Speedway. Matt Long battling it out now with Derek Heitman as we come through turn 4 and back onto the front stretch. That quad oval, that transition through the quad oval, all of the momentum and energy that these cars have built up coming out of turn 4, that's what's causing some of the loose condition coming out of 4, because you're on the banking, and all of a sudden you still have to navigate through that quad oval on a nearly flat racetrack.
Nearly flat. It's almost like that banking is non-existent, and I could not agree with you more. Let's look at how these guys are pretty much just leaning on each other. This all at over 185 miles an hour.
We're going to watch that dashboard here of Matt Long here, Matt Metler, as we come out of turn 2 and down the backstretch. He's only using up to 4th gear right now and hitting almost 180 going into 3.
Yeah, almost 180 going into 3. You're going to see the highest speeds coming out of 4 as they get that insane run all the way down to the turns 1 and 2 complex. As we go back on board, watch that telemetry, 185 miles an hour. he backed off. Wow, I can't get over how far these guys are having to back these corners up to get it to stick in turns 1 and 2. But that's what the racetrack is giving you right now, and these drivers are having to counter and adjust. And as well as you can see, Long also staying in that 4th gear, not utilizing 5th, at least not right now, Dave.
No, we can even see the way that Long is driving down the front stretch. That car, I mean, listen, I'm talking about, pit stops coming up soon, but he is not fighting a darn thing in this car. He's made some kind of wild adjustment to this thing, and he almost looks like he's just out here for a Sunday night drive, maybe coming home from taking the kids out for ice cream.
Dave, he is doing something absolutely wild. He is lifting at the start-finish line and letting that car coast all the way down to turns 1 and 2. But it is working. I never would have thought of doing that in a million years, but that's what makes these guys this good.
And the track temperature right now down to 115 degrees, so a little bit more grip here as the sun begins to set over Fort Worth, Texas. Right now, sim time is 3:42 p.m., 87 degrees in the stands. Whoa! There goes the 27. That's Randall Watkins as he shows up as having crashed. And we are under caution for only the second time for cause tonight.
Yeah, only 2 cautions, and yet I think that was a pretty big hit he had there, as we were on board when the caution flag came out. Third total caution flag this evening. As Dave mentioned, second for incident on the racetrack.
It looks, I can't tell, maybe he was trying to come down and try to just make a pit entrance.
Oh. That's the worst spot you can hit, possibly.
We're going to have to ride along with him here on the nose, because it almost looks like Randall Watkins was just, here he comes into 3. And he gets down here. Yeah, he was trying to set himself up for a pit entrance.
Doesn't make contact there with the inside barrier, but yeah, he got down to the flat and that car just checked out to lunch. And suddenly pit road is the hottest commodity in the joint, as here comes everyone full send. Give me 4 and some go fast in the tank. As the radio is starting to come alive as well there,
Dave. A little chippy tonight here.
Yes, it is.
And as we watch these drivers come down pit road, I mean, it's almost like this caution came out at just the perfect moment. We were getting ready for green flag pit stops. It enables everybody. Wow, Sean Rogers had a really rough pit exit there.
I don't think much more could have gone wrong for him. But you know what? I mean, Sean Rogers, that man knows how to recover.
I'll say.
Pretty darn well.
We're going to see. I'm going to run this back here, folks, as I'm just going to babble here because I know that Matt can't be heard when I go to this screen. But I just want to see. Everybody seems to be really upset with Randall Watkins coming off of pit road. And I got to be honest, Matt, I don't know why. As we're going to look at this from above, now Watkins comes in, he gets his pit service. We see the right sides go up. We see the right side go down. I'm just curious if something happened while he was coming off of pit road. Oh, he was coming off while everybody else was coming on. And you know what? Oh, well, he checks up. He gets behind Heitman. He makes the 97 have to check up.
I don't know what else more he could do there. I mean, there's no rule that says you have to stop or merge or give way on pit road.
For lack of a better term, it sounds like the leaders were just being spoiled brats.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If I was in second place, yeah, I probably would be a little upset, but not for the amount of garbage that the 27 got for that. I mean, that's just a byproduct of pit road. There's nothing you really can do about that.
No, absolutely not. But that's going to cycle Neil Pearson up here into the lead as he beat Derek Heitman and Nolan Hodgson off of pit road. So it's going to be Pearson, Heitman, Hodgson, Gitter, and Long, your top 5. As we take a look here, the iRacing.com pace car of course, we've got lapped cars up in front. So everybody's still going to be single file here. We'll see if we can get a hold of somebody. Let's try to get a hold of Nolan Hodgson here in the 4Wide Motorsports stable. Hey, Nolan, it's Dave up at the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir, I do.
Hey, man, listen, you've been running a great race tonight. You're up 4 positions from where you were qualified at. You know, a little bit of a rough break here getting this second caution for cause, but what's going to be the strategy moving through the rest of the way?
I mean, honestly, kind of what I've been doing, just saving. I mean, we were all in a line right there, just saving as much as we could. So I think that's really the name of the game with the track being as hot as it is. I mean, that's what we're going to do for the rest of the race pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, you know, something that I've seen with most of you is that you're saving the way that you are. And I mean, you know, we were coming up on about 33 laps on that last set of tires. Were you starting to experience any of that slip sliding around, or was it still pretty comfortable for you?
Oh yeah, pretty much we've been experiencing the slip sliding for, I don't know, about 124 laps now. So I don't foresee that going down anytime soon. I'm seeing that the track temp's going down a little bit, so maybe it'll get a little bit more controllable here.
Yeah, you're down to 115 right now, so you know you might not be able to cook that egg as fast, but it's definitely still out there sizzling away. Good luck, my friend, and looks like it's time to go back green.
All right, thank you.
Pace car leads the way. Those lights are out. Driver's going to reach up, pull the belts tight one more time. It's about to get good in the Texas neighborhood once again. Try for some green flag action. Well, here we go. Pace car pulls off. That's going to give Pearson and Heitman the front row. Heitman on the high side, and he gets caught on the snooze button as Pearson just blisters him on the restart. He is gone. Like he has all-wheel drive in that machine in the 58. He's going to clear side by side. It's a 4-way battle there for second, 2 by 2. A Noah's Ark situation as the 12 of Hodgson has the inside, but here comes Heitman charging on the high side. He does not want to give up that spot, but Hodgson on the fresh tires should be able to prevail here on the low line as he's going to clear Heitman off the corner.
Nolan Hodgson trying to clear Heitman off the corner. They go fender to fender through the front stretch and into turn 1. Hodgson, that we were just talking to, you know, it's always incredible to me when I'm talking to some of these drivers that they seem so calm and collected, you know, during pace laps, and then all of a sudden they just turn that animal mentality back on and start to haul it back onto the racetrack as Hodgson now challenging Neil Pearson for the lead. We go single file for most of the field, but all of a sudden Eric Papineau starting to creep up on Richard Pruitt while they're duking it out here atop the pile. Nobody has any room anywhere, and we could still try to go 4 wide at this racetrack.
Yeah, in which they have, you know, almost showing no regard to the tire situation or track temp. But every time we talk to these guys, it's been the same story. Tires, temperature, slip and slide. Is now Hodgson starts to reel in the 58 of Pearson, dialing up the excitometer inside the cockpit of that 58. He's going to back off a little bit as that gap now maintains about a car length and a half. That's now going to shorten down there to about a car length, rotating through 1 and 2 as they go down the backstretch, still single file. The conveyor belt is alive and well here at Texas.
Taking a peek back here at Chris Custer, who is suddenly moving his way back up through the field. He's getting around Seba Cornez, putting Michael Witt in the crosshairs. Seba Cornez here in the 59, down on the low side. He's got his 59 up 7 positions from where he had started. Now Seba looking on ahead of him at Eric Papineau, so we're going to take a ride along here with Seba in the 17 as they go down the back chute. Suddenly he's got the 29 of Tanner Marty over top. Seba's starting to fade a little bit, so maybe he's not as good at saving tires as maybe some of the other drivers are. You almost have to wonder, Matt, whether or not, you know, some of these drivers who are quote-unquote saving tires try to use those tires, you know, get a couple of positions and then try to cool things down.
I think clearly that's the name of the game for some of these guys. Try to get what you can on the restart and then save. Some of these other guys, as Chris Custer just hits the fastest lap of the race at a 30:27. I'm shocked that we have not seen lap times in the 29-second bracket yet tonight. That's just indicative of how slick this 1.5 mile oval is here tonight. Is now you see the 12 of Hodson getting his first lead tonight here in the Dirty South.
John Wilco coming down pit road for an unscheduled stop in the 62. Now he's back out of pit road. That allows Chris Claude to pass him for 24th. And Chris Claude, of course, down 2 laps yet. So that was for position. Kind of strange what would bring Wilco down as he's leaving pit lane now. Nolan Hodgson gets around Neil Pearson as we work lap 132. And Chris Custer still out here trying to battle it away as Chris Davis, just ahead of him, is trying to get up to Paul Hill and Sean Rogers.
Yeah, Chris Davis is on the charge, and that high line is really coming to life right now, or at least it was there momentarily. As soon as I say that, we pretty much go back single file. The beast mode man in the 74 is up there trying to get a big pass on the 44 of Rogers. That's going to be for that 8th and 9th place position just inside the top 10. The 74 has the spot, and Rogers quickly slots back in there. There's 2 more guys. Hill and Custer were thinking about trying to make a move on the high side and follow him through, Dave.
Speaking of thinking about trying to make a move, Tanner Marty was about to get around the 17, and now he's got to battle around the 88 instead of Michael Witt as Tanner Marty looks to try to get around the 88 here. We look to the low side, and it looks like Marty's going to be able to get on by. He sees just ahead of him Chris Custer and Eric Papineau battling it out hard and heavy as we go through turns 3 and 4 here on lap 134. You know, at this stage in the race, Marty may just want to see if, Custer or Papineau makes a mistake. I mean, any driver out here on this asphalt is, let's just say possible to make a mistake. But, if you know the drivers that you're around, you know where to set yourself up and wait, like a lion waiting to pounce on its dinner. As Chris Davis here in the 74 trying to hold off the 97 of Matt Long and now Patrick Gitters. They are side by side, hauling it down through turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, do not sleep on the 21 of Gitter and the 14 of Matt DiCiani. I know they haven't been right there positions 1 and 2, where we typically see them, but they are coming back to the front of this thing. This track is going to change a lot over the course of the run tonight. It started off slick as a button. That track temp almost 130 degrees. Now this race is going through a transition as we approach the 4 o'clock hour here in sim time. That track temp is going down. It's starting to cloud up a little bit. What does that do? That's going to change the balance, the characteristics of this race car. So some of these cars, we hear the term comer and goers. We're going to see some of these guys start to come back to the front, and perhaps some of these front runners starting to go to the back as we go on board now with Paul Hill in that 10th place position. He has got himself in the hornet's nest as he is taking on the 14 of Matt DiCiani, and just in front of him, Sean Rogers.
As we ride along here with the Simwits number 6, Paul Hill, when we're looking above from the blimp camera, it seems all kinds of peaceful. Of course, we can see the cars moving around. But as soon as we drop here onto the roof of the 6 machine, we can hear just how thunderous these cars are rolling out of turn 2 and down the back chute. The 14 of Matt DiCiani now working his way right in front of Hill, and Hill's not going to be satisfied with that. He looks to the inside of DiCiani as we work lap 138. I'll tell you what, this is going to be the meat of the race if I ever saw one myself. Everybody came down on lap 121 for pit service. John Wilco on 128. We won't count that one. But, everybody up here is on the same pit cycle. It seems like, the cautions that are coming out causing drivers to come down pit road are coming out at just the right interval all night long. And even as we look here at the pit strategy, 54 laps the first, at 28 for the first stop, 54 at the second. Remember, I said it was going to be somewhere between 35 and 50. So we got a little bit longer out of the second stint. And then the third one, of course, We got 39 laps out of, so we're already about halfway through this pit cycle, and we're going to have to stop one more time before the end of stage 2.
Yeah, one more time. These guys just do not have the rubber to take it the distance here tonight.
Can't they just get a rubber in the bathroom?
That is not the same.
Oh. It used to be 25 cents in the VFW bathroom. I can't imagine what type of diseases they gave you. It's at 141. Mark it.
No comment.
Riding along here with Nolan Hodgson as he's going to be working the high side here of Derek Heitman. We see Heitman here just below. They nearly make contact as Heitman might have tightened up coming through turn 3. We haul it back onto the front stretch, and all of a sudden Nolan Hodgson is starting to play a little do-si-do action as we're going to have a good old-fashioned Texas line dance, hauling it into 1 and 2.
Okay, at least play the EDM version of Cotton Eye Joe if that's the case. No.
Just checking. Nobody could hear me say that one.
You always like to do the backdoor stuff.
Well, yeah.
Only I
hear. Listen, backdoor stuff that's a totally different thing.
I'm
backstage.
Talking about back channel. I'm sorry, not backdoor, back channel.
And it's devolving quickly here on 143 in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. My Tony Bear's looking at me, and he's judging me right now. He's judging me hard.
Yeah, that's something Tony would do right there, just to amp up the listeners at home. We appreciate them being with us again. Once here again tonight in prime time is here we go. It's starting to heat up again. There's the 29 going after the 17 out there side by side. Ooh, they get a little close there. Get skitty, boys.
Poor Nolan has been riding along with us for the last several laps.
What? I got to tip my hat and salute that man. Any other driver would be screaming by now, if not immediately, to go back into their team chat. And he has been up here as the third member in the broadcast booth for I don't know how long, Dave.
I just happened to look over here. I was about to say, I was about to peek here into the YouTube.com live chat as Gail Ream, Mimo, and Papa are watching Nolan in the number 12, and then I saw all of a sudden, hey, can you guys move Nolan back into the 4 wide chat? Sure. Didn't even realize he was here.
That thing called
we strive for excellence.
We do. It's that thing called streamer mode. When we're in here doing this, we don't see any of the notifications. So sometimes we got to get lucky. But I want to apologize to Nolan and also thank him for being a great sport about it. As we didn't even know he was still with us.
To be fair, I mean, we weren't talking smack about him. And also, he got some screen time, and he got to hear us kind of, talk good about him. At the same time, he absolutely had to be disgusted with our behavior.
But still, hey, we appreciate him because, like I said, most of these drivers, they would have been like a tornado in a trailer park, being stuck up here in the booth for that long, especially when the racing has been this intense out there on the racetrack.
Well, speaking of broadcast excellence, tomorrow night, folks, I talked about it earlier. I kind of teased it. You're going to get a treat. As last week at Martinsville, this driver right here, Chris Claude, did not have a good night in the Xfinity Series last Monday, as he was charged with 2 at-fault penalties, and basically the chief cook and bottle washer had to hold himself accountable to the rules, and he is suspended for tomorrow night's race in the Xfinity Series here at Texas. So he has graciously agreed to basically put his head into the lion's mouth and sit up here in the broadcast booth with me for the evening. And the only thing that I really have to ask you, Matt, is how long before I break him?
I'm going to give it in 10 minutes or less.
See, Chris, I know that Chris watches these broadcasts at work, during the day after, as Brian Tarnowski seems to have gone off track here. I'm betting dollars to donuts it was coming out of 4 as we take a quick peek here. So I know that Chris watches these, kind of keeps his, assuming that his boss isn't listening. If Chris's boss is listening, he actually is studying his spreadsheets and reports all day long. He doesn't even know what NASCAR is. But I know Chris, watches these during the day. It's kind of like background noise while he's working. So I'm always curious if I get him to laugh, because Chris is one of those people who's very serious about what he does here on the racetrack. So I want to just know, give me an over-under, folks, how long before I break it?
Chris, obviously very wise and is seasoned to our broadcast calls, some of the jokes we make from time to time, and quite frankly, when we spice it up a time or two here. But it's totally different when that microphone's in your face. There's not only the drivers, but you have all the fans on the other side chiming in. It puts a different type of pressure if you're not used to it. I don't think it's going to take very long. I think you're going to get them within the first 10 minutes of the broadcast, Dave.
Well, I mean, I already had Barrett Coffee saying that the steak sauce was a classic, and quite frankly, Barrett got to experience me when I was so brand new at this that I was stumbling through my very first broadcast back on the Independence Racing Network in the Xfinity Series, and Barrett was one of the people that encouraged me, because, first of all, I had wrecked him enough times by accident that he was more than glad to get me out off the racetrack and into the booth. Second of all, he was one of those people that was like, hey, just relax and do what you got to do up there. And so I appreciate the encouragement from Barrett. Not only did he give me some super speedway truck racing advice, but of course also, some broadcast encouragement. So maybe we have him to thank as well for this mess that I've created at Sim Racing Media. But, here we are on 153. The drivers, we've had 2 cautions for cause on the evening all night in 153 laps. After the mess that we had at Martinsville last week, this is like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, after the Martinsville massacre, these guys come here and they redeem themselves and do it big. Everything's bigger and better in Texas. Top of the broadcast, I said that. And these drivers tonight have escalated and have upped the ante in that department, and they are producing one heck of a show here through 154 laps of competition. This has been an absolute barn burner. From the drop of the green flag is here we go. Here's Gitter going after Pearson. The 21 on his march back towards the front. Once again, side by side, door to door, Gitter now in that second place position temporarily. He is not clear of Pearson. He is going to give it everything he has, but the 21 gets an incredible run in that second lane, and he is now knocking on the door of Heitman.
And he is so graceful getting off the throttle. It's not an easy get off the throttle in these cup cars, because in these cup cars, as soon as you come all the way off, if it's too violent, you'll have the whole thing snap loose on you. So to watch Patrick Gitter kind of work his way off and on the throttle, it's honestly like watching Bob Ross paint a happy cloud. It's nice and gentle.
Some of these guys are letting off at the start-finish line and just letting this thing, like, right there.
There's always something to be said, and I see it so many times here in the sim. You can go ahead and watch the real race, and you can look at some of the telemetry and some of the strategy that those guys use. But one of the things, and you and I have crossed paths with enough, real-world racers here working for Sim Racing Media, that, we start to say to them, what do you translate from the sim into the real world? And a lot of the tools that they use here in the sim, they wind up using in the real world, such as throttle control and patience and things like that you can't otherwise do without wrecking a $400,000 piece of equipment.
Yeah, and it's sometimes, the way drivers wad these cars up, you almost get the impression they're a dime a dozen. No, that is not the case. So, always emphasizing on trying to save your equipment in the less time you... But well said, Dave. I agree with you 100% there, bud.
Speaking of saving one's equipment, I don't know exactly what happened with Alex Princeton. I don't know if he was wadded up in that earlier wreck this evening, but he is down 64 laps right now. And you know what? A tip of the cap to him, just for sticking it out, because obviously he's in a points battle. But, 64 laps down, or 62 laps down, I'm sorry, because when you're down that far, you certainly don't want to short anybody. But, Princeton here, he's in 8th position in points, and that's basically all he's out here trying to do, collect a few more points. After he gained a spot last week, coming from 9th into 8th, he doesn't want to lose that and slide back into 9th or worse.
And that's how you manage a race as a seasoned race car driver, doing exactly what the 19 is doing right now. Some days it's not about going out there and getting the checkered flag. It's about managing the points. That's almost as important as the wins, and the 19 is doing an excellent job of that here in Texas once again.
Riding along now with Matt Long inside the 97. Right now just just behind Neil Pearson. We can see Pearson out the left side. Oh, Long is suddenly fighting a really tight race car as he's got back almost all the way out of that. Suddenly, as I look up at timing and scoring, we're 5 laps from the end of stage 2.
Yeah, hey, time goes by when you're having fun, and when you're keeping the caution off of the racing surface, things happen in a hurry. Look at the slide from Pearson. He just did a 4-wheel drift up about a half a lane on the racetrack. I wish I could do that. I can't do that.
No, that takes a special individual for sure. And you know what? Pearson is one of these drivers, and he's new to this league this year. And I got to be honest, every week that Pearson comes to the racetrack, when he unloads out of the truck, it is something to behold when he gets onto the asphalt.
Every time. Just because they're new to the series doesn't mean that they're necessarily new to iRacing, or a rookie. There's a lot of mandates, there's a lot of criteria that you have to meet to even be eligible to put a truck here, to compete with these boys. But, Neil Pearson really is a special dynamic driver, and it's been a lot of fun to watch him as he continues to grow in this series over the course of this season. As we go back now to your leader, Derek Heitman, up 4 positions as he's going by the 33 there, putting him, I believe, another lap down.
Yeah, Ken Ron looks at the 76 as he drives on by and says, "Go ahead, I'm not going to be in the way." Ken Ron right now, he's down several laps, and that's upsetting for the Dillsburg native, because I know that he's out here trying to put together a good product as he's down 8 laps, and you have to give it to some of these guys who, week after week, they go down laps, they get wrapped up in dumb stuff on the racetrack, yet still show up on Sunday night when it's time to go. To me, that's because you and I both know you get wrecked out of so many races, or you wind up in dumb positions so many times, and sometimes you just want to throw the towel in. Of course, that paid off for you at Talladega last Thursday night in the Racers Elite Cup Series. And, of course, me up in the broadcast booth, I know we're supposed to be, unbiased and objective, but I couldn't do it that night.
Dave, it's about time I didn't stink it up out there on the racetrack and put on a show for you, man. And that was a hell of a night, man. Coming home third as the caution flag comes out. But I'll have you know, I back end of stage 2 in the books. Your stage winner once again, no surprise. He took the first one. He's going to take the second one. Derek Heitman in that 76. Second, Patrick Gitter. Matt Long comes home third. Neil Pearson in that 58. Fourth, Nolan Hodson. He's going to capture that 5th place position. Matt DeCiano is going to slice into 6th. Chris Davis, the beast mode man, comes in 7th. Sean Rockin' Rogers 8th. Dylan Banks 9th, and rounding out your top 10 is the 6th of Paul Hill.
Another impressive showing from Derek Heitman. We're going to let him get through his pit stop this time. But, last week, like I said, when I get to watch somebody that, I consider my brother and my friend, when you're able to come home on the podium, and especially from this perspective where, suddenly you're the interviewee, not the interviewer, for me, it was just a lot of fun to watch you do that.
I struggle, in this next gen car. It's not my thing. You know, I spent a lot of time in the solid rear axle, you know, the Gen 4, the COT, the Gen 6, and this car has given me fits. But the one thing I can do, and you can even ask Jonathan Leach this, is I can plate race. And I was so happy to be able to put on a show for you. And I backed it up. Yesterday in ISNF, I went from 2 laps down to finish in the top 10 in the 7th in the Cup Series here in Texas here yesterday.
Look at you.
So, hey, we're on a little bit of a run right now. We're going to see if we can keep that going as we're back to Talladega on Tuesday night.
Because we're just going to go out here to the blimp static until we get through the pit cycle, because it absolutely gives timing and scoring fits when all of these drivers come down pit road. We're going to get a chance here to talk to Derek Heitman as he is going to roll off of pit road in just a moment as we get a hold of him. Come on, Derek. Hey, Derek, it's Dave and Matt up in the booth. You got us.
What's going on, guys?
Well, another stage win. Obviously, you figured something out here in the 76. What are you doing to this car, and are there adjustments being made, or is this just simply drive it and see what happens?
I'm just driving it and taking care of the tires. I haven't made a single setup adjustment off of our base yet. Keyword yet. And I don't plan to till probably the next pit stop, but I'm just running it straight up.
Yeah, I mean, track temperature now down to 111 degrees as we've crossed that 4 o'clock time here in the sim. So, you know, obviously the track cooling off, it's going to get gripped up. You know, eventually I'm sure that it's going to be a tire pressure adjustment as we get a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I might mess with the pressures a little bit. Maybe bring them up a little bit as the track goes down. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there when I'm pitting.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of pitting now, you know, we've basically figured out that pit cycles are everywhere between like 36 laps to 50 laps. Obviously, with just under 100 laps to go, we're looking at about 2 stops if we try to push it to that 50-lap mark. Is that what you're keeping your eye on, or is this something that is going to be more fluid?
It's something to be a little bit more fluid. I'm just going to run it and see where we wind up, honestly. I should be decent on gas. It's going to be a one-stop race. So we're going to be one stop there, assuming we get green flag pit stops and someone doesn't spin out on the apron for no reason.
All right, my man. Well, listen, good luck the rest of the way, and we'll see you on the other side.
Thanks, guys.
I love the dry humor there at the end. a spin on the for no reason.
Anything's possible.
Anything is possible, but you know, Dave, you mentioned it earlier. So calm, cool, collective, you know, in the interview, but yet when that green flag drops, you know, they go from 0 to, 1,000 in the matter of seconds. I am shocked that Heitman has not made one change to this race car over the course of the run tonight. However, this third and final stint is when we're going to see the biggest transition, I believe, with this racetrack. Yeah, but you heard him. He said it. Fluid. That tells me he's just going to vibe, rely on his skills, and just roll with the punches. Whatever this race throws at him, he's going to address it then. And that formula has been working for the 76 all day. Why abandon it when it's got you 2 stage wins thus far? I agree with him 100%. As he's going to have Gitter trying to get the best of him on the outside here when we go back green.
When we go back green, it's going to be Heitman, Gitter, Long, Hodgson, Pearson, DeCiani, Davis, Banks, Rogers, and Hill.
Well, I hope he doesn't Banks, Roger, and Hill. That wouldn't be very good.
The strangest anomaly just happened. I swear to God, I just felt something bang into my desk, and there's nothing here. Never mind, I found it. It's my robot vacuum, Alfred. Scared the living bejesus out of me.
You named your robo vacuum?
Yes, his name is Alfred. If you have a butler, and you know.
How did you get the name Alfred for your smart vac?
He sweeps and he cleans up, and I like to think myself. You've never seen me in the same place as Batman, so I could be Batman.
I was just gonna say, is that a Batman?
It is.
Gotcha.
So you've never seen me in the same place as Batman, now have you?
I have not.
I didn't think so. As we're going to ride with Patrick Gitter here on the restart, He's going to be just outside of Derek Heitman, and we go underway. The hammer is dropped. Stage 3 is underway.
And hammer time it is, and there goes Heitman. He is going to get or retain the lead here on the restart. However, Gitter doing a good job staying with that ZL1 Camaro as he has him in tow. Then you have the 97 of Matt Long, who always finds his way into the conversation, the contest here as we get later into these runs, burning of the midnight oil, if you will. Then in fourth, you have Hodson, and rounding out the top 5, Matt DiCianni, and all these guys are about a half car length apart from each other as, we're out there running north of 185 miles an hour again here in Texas.
Yeah, the racetrack has gripped up quite substantially so far as everybody is single file. They've decided that in order to get this, or at least it seems like, everybody has shaken hands and said, look, if you're going to try to work our way through this and stay green the rest of the way, we're going to wind up having to make some type of an agreement. Work on one another one at a time. Don't be greedy. Don't be stupid. Let's do this the right way. As we take a look at Sean Rogers in the Beast Mode Masters Chevrolet Camaro, I do like this paint scheme. Not enough people, I think, appreciate the Masters anymore as wow. Speaking of trying to shake hands and make an agreement, Chris Davis now working to the inside of Paul Hill. Almost instantly has to back off as Paul Hill just hauled it right back in front of him.
I was going to say, all these guys can make agreements, but that 74, he's a mercenary. He's going to go out there and do what he needs to do. He's an OG race car driver. It's not a team sport. It's a me sport. And he's going to go out there and do what he has to do to get him sponsors, himself and his team, the best result out there on the racetrack, time and time again. But that's the mentality, that's the personality of Chris Davis, and I respect the heck out of him for it.
I want to look at Paul Hill right now as we just saw him get a run here. Paul Hill did exactly what single file racing is supposed to look like. He gets a run on the 58, sees the slot, and gets right back into line. What a great move from Paul Hill in the 6 as he goes ahead and gets himself up into 6th position. It was just a perfectly timed run with just enough space to slide in between DiCianni and Pearson. Now, speaking of perfectly timed moves, here's Nolan Hodgson running in 4th. He's kind of hanging out back here behind Matt Long, and all of a sudden almost shoving Matt Long into the turn as we get ready to go down the back chute.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see that shoving continue to pick up and trend up as the track temp comes down and gives these drivers a little more security. As Long is going to send it into the corner. He is going to take that 2nd place position now from Patrick Gitter. But you have to remember, big time run there. The 12's almost took it. He got blocked by the 21. As it is starting to heat up once again here near the front of this piece, Dave.
Yeah, looking from both sides here, Patrick Gitter looking out the front toward Matt Long. He was getting a heck of a run on Long, and it seems like maybe he's backed off just a hair. As we come into the turn, all of a sudden we look back and we can see Nolan Hodgson in that number 12 Brandt Dark Horse Ford. And I'll tell you what, Hodgson's getting the kind of run that's eventually going, whoa! I've got to switch cameras quick because we don't want to miss a thing here as we work lap 178, 90 to go here at Texas.
And here comes the 74 of Chris Davis. You can tell the urgency has picked up in the beast mode camp. As you see him working there on the high side, he was going to try and slip past Hodgson, but he was ready for it. Now he gets the 12 to wiggle, come up, and the 74 is there to strike, and he is going to take that spot now and put that Beast Mode 74 Toyota TRD machine in that 4th place position. Is now he is going to put the 21 of Gitter in it.
I thought parallel parking was supposed to be one of the most difficult parts about getting your driver's license. Chris Davis just did it at 183 miles per hour.
Yeah, as he almost got hot and bothered there by Hodgson, Davis just decided, you know what? I'm going to send it on the high side here, and I'm going to get out of this mess. And you can see the difference when these drivers really have to go. You can see them pick the pace up, but then it comes right back down, and that's just the respect and the discipline that these drivers have for the conditions out there right now on the racetrack, as it continues to be Heitman carrying the torch, Matt Long in second, Chris Davis third, Patrick Gitter fourth, and Nolan Hodson rounding out your top 5.
I'm going to call him Derek Six Guns, the way that he's out here firing away tonight, just hitting every mark the way that he has to. I mean, if you want to see somebody drive Texas Motor Speedway the way that it should be, it's Derek Heitman tonight. He has been out here just dominant from the moment the green flag dropped on lap 1. And I mean, he has absolutely run a clinic over some of the best drivers on the iRacing service.
He has not made one mistake all race long. He looks like a robot out there, AI driving the race car. I mean, that's when you're perfect, as good as you are, it is hard to beat perfect when you are dialed in the zone. Is Sean Rogers now going to the high side again? He's looking to take the spot from Matt DeCiani. This is right around that 6th place position, well inside the top 10. Check the box. Rogers is going to take the spot. He is just outside the top 5.
Now DeCiani looks to the inside of Rogers as we cross the start-finish line on 183. Matt DeCiani looking maybe to try to get a twofer as he looks just at the rear bumper of Gitter. Thinks better of it and backs off. That allows Sean Rogers to dig his way back in front of DeCiani. 183 laps in the books. It'll be 184 at the line as they are side by side coming into 3 and 4. This is kind of calamity corner, but Sean Rogers able to keep that 44 underneath him as we come out of turn 4, crossing the start-finish line. We can still see the tire marks in the grass from the other drivers who have done some landscaping tonight. Chris Custer is suddenly side by side with Randy Belk back here in a battle for 19th position. I know that it doesn't seem very important, but we want to make sure that we still keep an eye on some of these other battles on the racetrack because, in this league, we see battling all over the place, and they're doing it at what, in my opinion, is the highest level.
It is the highest level, and of course, this going on as the lead just changed twice while we were going towards the back, as Chris Davis was able to get the lead from Heitman, and Heitman was toying with him, and Heitman said, nah, I want it back. He sent it right back on by the 74 of Davis as we go back to the front.
We're going to go back to the replay of when Heitman came around Davis. Now, Davis had taken the lead away from him for just a brief moment. And then Heitman said, no, wait a second, that's mine. It's been mine. Give me my lead back. And makes it look just that easy to get back around Davis.
But to the 74's credit, this is the first real pressure that Heitman has really faced all day. I can't think of anyone that's been able to go up there and pass him the way that Chris Davis did. Heitman had an immediate answer for it, and he just, hit the throttle a little bit harder, and there he was. And now, suddenly, Davis is falling into the clutches of Hodson in that 3rd place position as he's starting to really pick up the steam, Dave.
Absolutely. With 80 laps to go, we're going to step aside and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media as things seem to have cooled down for the time being on the racetrack. I'm Dave Riegel. He's Matt Metler. And you're watching the Stacy Strong Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series.
Preen Garden Weed Preventer and Preen Garden Weed Preventer Plus Plant Food block weeds before they start and are safe for use around over 400 flowers, vegetables, trees, and shrubs. Best of all, they give you 3 months of freedom from weeding in just 4 easy steps. You can apply Preen anytime before or during the growing season. But since it's a weed preventer, not a weed killer, early spring is best. Here's how. Start by removing existing weeds and their roots in the area where you want to apply Preen. Sprinkle granules directly onto dry soil, mulch, or stone so that they're evenly spaced. Within 24 hours of applying, integrate the granules into the top layer of soil or mulch or stone-covered bed. Finally, water with a hose or sprinkler, or a well-timed soaking rain to activate the protective weed barrier. When activated, Preen creates an invisible weed-fighting barrier just below the soil surface that targets and prevents weed seeds from sprouting and forming roots. People and pets may enter the treated area once dusts have settled and the area is thoroughly dry from watering or first rain. That's it. Now you'll have a beautiful weed-free space and 3 months to do anything but weeding. Satisfaction guaranteed. Trusted for over 50 years, Preen is America's #1 weed preventer brand with weed preventers for every type of garden.
So hi, my name's Christy. I am a wife, a mother of 3 children. I am a sister and an aunt of lots of nieces and nephews, and I'm also a substitute teacher. So my everyday life changed by going to appointments, a lot of appointments, a lot of scans. As during the treatment, my body just got weaker, so I wasn't as active with my children and with my husband. So I was laying on the couch a lot more. I'm an active person, and so that just didn't sit well with me, but that's how it changed. My body was just weaker, and I couldn't do the things that I used to do. So there was a lady in where I live from a local church who had heard that I had breast cancer, and she sent me a letter just reaching out for support, and she actually said that she's the one that told me about Trisha's Hope and that I should contact them, so I did. So specifically, I wasn't able to really work during my treatment or anything like that, so the grant that I was able to get helped me pay my bills, provide gas money. I was driving to and from treatments, and so it helped a lot with bills and everything. I would just say I am so grateful for Trisha's Hope and for all the people that have donated, because I don't know what I would have done without them.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom. Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh,
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger. Aphrodite is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Race fans, welcome back to Texas, as it has been a Texas-style no-limit showdown here from the Stacy Strong Cup Series competitors as Derek Heitman continues to be perfect tonight and leads over Matt Long, Patrick Gitter, Nolan Hodson, and Neil Pearson as we now close in on the final laps, the last stint of the race tonight. Dave Regal, this race has been everything we thought it was going to be and then some. Since the drop of the green flag, you know, you consider the track temperatures, the tire wear, and yet these guys still are out there putting on a clinic.
Yeah, you know, Derek Heitman has been dominant from the moment that we said the word go. And, you know, at this point in the race, he's just out here logging laps, getting his job done. Brian Tarnowski, he's kind of in the middle of a little bit of a mess back here as we go on back to 19th position. He's trying to get around Richard Pruitt in the 24. But, you know, the story of this race is that it has been hotly contested all evening long. You know, we saw earlier today how, you know, the race leaders were able to get, you know, 1 and 2 second leads over top of everybody else once they hit that clean air. But, you know, tonight it's been more about everybody battling for position.
Yeah, it certainly has been. That has been the storyline. And, you know, it's hard to fathom at times if, you know, if you guys have been with us through, you know, most of the broadcast, is these tires give up quick, fast, and in a hurry, especially when you're out there battling. And yet these guys just seem to disregard it in a sense. They're just that good, and they're still out there slugging it out. Just like watching the 21 right now of Patrick Gitter going up again, Hodson there in the 12th. This for that 3rd and 4th position.
Yeah, you know, we've called Nolan Hodgson's number a lot tonight, but he hasn't been able to crack the top 3 for a long period of time. Almost nobody has managed to get around Derek Heitman with the exception of the 74 of Chris Davis just a short time ago. We're here on lap 205. We're going to take a peek now at our pit strategy. And, you know, 37 laps on these tires so far. They're probably, oh, wow. Nolan Hodgson, just as I called it out, he's suddenly decided to turn on the afterburners to get alongside Patrick Gitter as they go fender to fender coming out of turn number 4. Oh, a bottle out of Hodgson. We're going to take a quick look at that momentarily after we get through this. But 38 laps now on this set of tires for these drivers. So for the time being, it looks like maybe they're going to try to get to where it's 50 to go, you know, which is going to be more than adequate to get to the end. And we're going to see just what happened here to Nolan Hodgson a second ago. And Hodgson coming out of 4, we've seen this way too many times tonight where you come out of 4 and just get a bobble coming into the quad oval.
Yeah, he tried to just carry a little more speed off the corner, and like clockwork, the back of that car says, no thank you, steps out to lunch, and he quickly has to jump into recovery mode, which he does a masterful job of. But how many times, as you said, Dave, have we seen that tonight over the course of this race?
Yeah, as Patrick Gitter, you know, Nolan Hodgson just cracked into the top 3, and here we go again. Patrick Gitter looking to get her done. And I mean, you know, don't get me wrong, watching these guys go at it is incredible. But, you know, now all of a sudden Gitter has to let Hodgson go for another moment here as we come into 1 and 2. You have to wonder how hungry Matt Long is, as he's only 0.2 of a second off the pace set by Derek Heitman. Heitman last laid down a 31.47, and so did Matt Long.
Yeah, these are flirting with some of the fastest speeds we've seen all race long, or if not the fastest laps that we've seen all night long, as we continue to ride on board with the 97. The Atlanta, Georgia native Matt Long always seems to be around and in the conversation the later we get into these races. He knows how to set his car up here for when it counts, and that is what I consider right now in the race, inside 100 laps to go, and he is there in that second place position. But dude perfect in that 76 machine, Derek Heitman, who has been literally invincible on the racetrack. I'm wondering if Matt Long is going to be the first guy that has something to challenge that ZL1 Camaro that's continued to carry the torch here for virtually the entire race. He's won everything, Dave.
Yeah, you know, I'm looking here at the time delta between Heitman and Long, and for 3 laps in a row, they were basically dead even with one another from 2:07, 6, and 5. And now all of a sudden here on 2:10, it looks like maybe Heitman's starting to extend that time a little bit here as we take a look at that delta, and it is accurate. You know, now all of a sudden here on 2:10, Long a little bit faster, but just 4,000th of a second. So that's not going to be enough to close in on Heitman and give him any kind of a fit here before the end. Speaking of giving people fits, Seba Cornez less than 2/10 of a second now behind Randy Belk in the 50. We finally get a chance here to try to ride along with some of these battles back deep. Wow! Belk just shoots out wide. We're going to ride along with him for this one, as that was a darn near Code Brown moment from Randy Belk. Here it is.
Gonna go on board here. You hear the tires already screaming. Watch this.
Oh. Shoots right across the backstretch, and that allows Seba Cornez to close in.
That was definitely the don't stain your ride, use Tide moment of the race. He is lucky he is still in this thing.
Seba Cornez now up to 14th position. Dalton Mobley here in the deuce. He's running in 12th right now. And I mean, right now he's only about a second behind Tanner Marty, so there's plenty of real estate between those two drivers. As we've gone deeper into this race, the green flag runs have gotten longer and longer, and we can see that right here as we look at this. It's been almost equal across all of these stints. I mean, 54 laps, our longest run from stop to stop, after 28 for the first one, then 46 for the next, 39, then 46, now 46, here we are on lap 214. So for a lot of these drivers, they're starting to feel that wear. They know that they can get to lap 54. They've done it before. The question is, do you really want to?
No, you don't. They probably have wanted tires now for at least, 10 laps, if not more. Is that Mobile 1 machine that went ghost mode, completely disappeared off the racing surface, and then suddenly back in and going, I know that's not for position there out on the racetrack, but it's going to clear the two there and get by. Is I'm not sure if Mobley's going to be too happy about that pass or not out there. But nonetheless, hey, racing's racing, Dave. You got to take it how you can get it. As everyone's all running out here for a different purpose right now. As we take it back up to the front. Same story. About 0.3 of a second now. The advantage to Heitman. Matt Long not letting him get away. And in fact, as soon as I said 0.3, well, now that margin is shrinking.
Lap cars coming down pit road for their what should be their final stop. Randy Belk, Mark Johnston, and Chris Claude. The thing is, everybody's going to have their eyes on Derek Heitman. This is his race to give up coming down pit road. We know that we're going to see him squeeze that 50 laps to go here. The question becomes, does he want to make that last run shorter? Does he want to keep it about equal to what he's got right now? The way things look for the 76, it's just fine by me if I was him, as he hauls it out of 2 and down the back chute. We're going to take a look here at our weather one more time. Track temperature down to 110, so we're about 10 degrees from that witching hour kind of temperature, as that's what's going to put the grip back into the asphalt.
Well, I can tell you this, from the 2 races that I ran here this week, once the track temp got under 110 degrees. It really seemed to pick up a lot of grip quick. Oh, as we see Matt Long now on pit road with the 21, here comes Rogers as well. And Dave, I was going to say, if you want to beat Mr. Consistency, you're going to have to roll the dice and try to do something different. And that's exactly what a couple of these drivers here are doing now. By taking some new Dr. Feelgoods quicker than Heitman, you're going to have more pace in your race car. Once these guys cycle back out on the racetrack, we're going to have to wait and see. Heitman's, well, there goes that idea, is Heitman is on point, knows that the competition is taking it to pit road. He is not going to give them an opportunity to use those new tires, as Heitman now on pit road as well.
Heitman comes down pit road. That's going to cycle Nolan Hodgson up to the lead, as we're going to see the right side go up on the 76. He's going to get 4 tires and a tank of Go Fast here on lap 219. The 29 is going to come down pit road. It looks like it's going to be Michael Wick, Chris Custer, and Tyler Sexton coming down pit road. And Nolan Hodgson does the same, bringing Neil Pearson, Dylan Banks, and Chris Davis along with him. That leaves our points leader, Matt DiCiani, out in front of everyone else. Now, the question is DiCiani out here trying to hope that, hey, maybe I can stay out here, put some of these guys down a lap, and maybe somebody gets caught with the cold tire bug and winds up bringing out that all-too infamous caution?
That's the only possible play I can think of, because he is going to be giving up a ton of time. Oh, did you see that smoke?
Smoke but no fire.
Smoke but no fire, but alluding to what you were saying, that cold tire bug, maybe he could get lucky. I thought he did there, as I seen smoke all over camera 1, but the caution not out as we stay green.
I mean, right now, Matt DiCiani is out here hauling the mail. We can see that the rear end of the 14 just squatted all the way down to the asphalt, almost scratching those diffusers. Right now, it looks like DiCiani, Mobley, and Pruitt, the only drivers not to have come down pit road. Brian Tarnowski now going to take his pit service. That's going to put Long and Gitter running in 4th and 5th. And currently, there's 36 seconds from Matt DiCiani back to 4th and 5th. Now, all of a sudden, Dalton Mobley comes down pit road. Suddenly, we're trying to play the guessing game and see who comes out on top the longer DiCiani stays out.
Well, if there was a caution to come out right now, DiCiani would basically have everyone from the top 2 a lap down. So that's from Matt Long through the entire field. Could you imagine if we actually get a caution flag? I don't even know what to think is going to happen to this field if that's the case. But still, DiCiani out there on the racetrack has not brought it down for service. He's going to stay out yet. No, he's coming down this time, Dave.
Here comes DiCiani to bring it pit side here, as that's going to leave just Pruitt running out atop the pile. He's still 24 seconds behind DiCiani, as now everybody going to have to get around here and see whether or not DiCiani made the smart choice here, as he's going to come down onto pit road. Richard Pruitt knows that he's already got his hands full as he comes across the start-finish line. And just, wow, what a great camera transition. I couldn't have planned that one better myself. As Pruitt comes across the start-finish line, he still needs to come in, as DiCiani going to tumble through the standings, as now those lead lap cars are going to be going around him while he waits.
Yeah, it's going to be the equivalent of DiCiani jumping off the peak of Mount Everest as he plummets through the field. And with the tire fall off here in Texas, especially this race, I just didn't see how that was going to work out in DiCiani's favor unless he had that miracle caution flag displayed over the racetrack. It wasn't. He came down, and unfortunately, he has the freshest shoes, as we see the 24 coming in, making his final pit stop of the evening. See the jack going up, service being completed, and that's going to cycle Mr. Long and Strong to the point here tonight. Gitter is going to be in that second place position. Hodgson, Pearson, Davis. I wasn't really going for that. I didn't even know that. Oh, God.
That's my alter ego, Long and Strong. That's what they call me.
Well, New fast lap of the race, Patrick Gitter at a
You know you're supposed to hit the clutch before you shift gears.
Don't tell him that.
Patrick Gitter just laid fast time down to 30.13 seconds as Matt Long suddenly becomes your race leader. All of a sudden, it seems like, now where in the world is he? Heitman got trapped down desperately behind everybody else.
Yeah, suddenly Heitman finds himself locked in the bear cage. Somebody stuffed a muzzle on him, hit him with a tranquilizer dart, and he is shockingly buried in the field right now. He has a ton of work to do and not a lot of time to do it. Ooh, as the Coca-Cola ride gets squirrely right behind him.
.228 laps in the books here at Texas Motor Speedway. Matt Long, your current race leader, he's being trailed by about a half second by Patrick Gitter. Now, Gitter's basically been in the catbird seat all night. He hasn't been able to secure the lead for long enough to say that he was a race leader. But Nolan Hodgson has finally secured third position. He's been working on getting to the podium all night long, and it looks like he's finally done so over top of Neil Pearson, who just laid fast time down at 30.29. So all of a sudden, everybody has made those final adjustments coming through the money stop as track temperature down to 109 puts just enough grip in here that we're going to see as the track temperature cools down, those times are going to drop as well.
Yeah, something had to have happened to Derek Heitman, Dave. He is being scored in the 21st position. So I don't know. I know we were covering a lot of different, a lot of different strategies and a lot of different drivers on track, but something did not go according to plan there for the 76 as he is now outside of the top 20 and continuing to lose spots out there on the racetrack.
He even just went off track here a moment ago. We're going to watch the 76.
Oh, shit.
My goodness. Oh, he came in contact with Matt Mackin. Oh, there it is.
And there goes the perfect drive up in Texas snow as he got right-reared hardcore.
We're under caution for the third time tonight for cause, fifth time total, as Derek Heitman was back there dancing around Matt Mackin, and Matt Mackin just absolutely smacked him. I don't think it was intentional. I don't want to say that by any stretch of the term, but...
Yeah, but he...
Oh.
Yeah.
This is going to be questionable on a good day.
I don't think that was an intentional shellacking there by Mackin.
No, a shellacking by Mackin. Look at you.
But I'm speechless. This guy has drove the perfect race, and I can't believe what I am witnessing right now here in Texas. Is the caution is out, and the Mr. Invincible is now fallen into the clutches of reality.
You know, for lack of a better term, as we look here at Derek Heitman once again, it almost. Oh, that was too much. Hold on. Let's back up just another hair. It almost looked like he was tightening up coming out of 4 while Mackin was loosening up. Yeah, that's where we're at here. I'm going to run this back one more time, and we're going to put this in super slow mode, if you will, as we go back to the live stream. Now, let's just watch this ever so gingerly. Here we go on turn exit. We go into slow-mo, and we're going to watch as Mackin's coming down, Heitman's tightening up, and they just make contact at what has to be the worst moment ever.
And it's off of turn 4.
Which we have seen wreak havoc on this field all night long. Cornez and Papineau are each going to come down pit road. Michael Witt is going to cycle to the race lead for reasons I'm not quite sure of.
I'm still in disbelief. You know, Dave, but that's why we say it's never over until it's over. I mean, you can be flawless, have a perfect race, clearly, you know, every sign, you know, finger point, whatever you look at, all pointed in the 76. Won both stages with ease. And then suddenly, within the blink of an eye, finds himself at the wrong place at the right time, coming off of turn 4, makes contact, incidental contact, that was not deliberate, that was just a racing deal, is suddenly spinning through the grass and now finds himself mired back in 22nd position.
Michael Witt suddenly being scored as our race leader as he has gotten the number 88 Lipton Chevrolet Camaro up here to the point for, I can't even understand why. I guess maybe he's teabagged his way through there with Patrick Gitter running in P2, Matt Long in third, Matt DiCiani in fourth, and Nolan Hodgson now once again outside of the top 3. You know, Hodgson, like we've talked about, has worked his way up into the top 3 and tried all night long, yet somehow here he sits outside that top 3 again.
I knew you were going to say it. I'm still dying.
I mean, when you see the opportunity.
I need a moment.
While my partner collects himself because I've been completely irreverent tonight, we want to thank everybody for making us a part of your evening as we've got 6 nights of racing on Sim Racing Media this week. Of course, here you are hanging out with Matt and I on Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series action as we take a peek at the rest of the schedule. Of course, Alan Bergen and Daniel Paulus going to be bringing you SCL action tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Tomorrow night at 8:15, you'll see me right back here, same bat time, same bat channel for the SNN Xfinity Series. Tuesday night, Racers Elite goes green at 7:35 with, of course, John and Rick at the microphones. I will be back for SNN Truck Series action on Tuesday night, while the Extreme Series is going to be brought to you by Liam and Jordan at 9 p.m. Tuesday's a busy night, with the nightcap being the Western States Racing League, brought to you by Mike DeMonet and Alan Bergen. Wednesday nights is for Roughneck Racing at 7, while Angel and Alan. Racers Elite at 7:30 p.m. with Mike, and the Extreme Cup Series with Liam and Jordan. Then Thursday, I'll be back once again for the Racers Elite Cup Series. Of course, you can see my partner Matt Metler down on the racetrack that night, as myself and Daniel Paulus Jr. are going to be bringing you all of the action from the broadcast booth. Saturdays is for ISNF, of course, with Liam once again. And then ECR going to be Liam and Emily, as Liam's going to be pulling double duty on Saturday night. But absolutely worthwhile tuning in every night of the week, with the exception of Fridays here on Sim Racing Media, as we get ready to go back green flag racing here on lap 234. Michael Witt with control of the field. Patrick Gitter going to be in tow on the high side. As Gitter looks over here, we can see the 88 Lipton machine hits the Geico restart zone, and we're back underway.
Let the teabagging begin. Green flag back in the air, and there it goes as it drapes it across the field into turn 1 for the first time. Well, after the restart, I should say, as he's going to jump out to about 2.5, 3 car lengths over the 97 along, but he gets a great run through the center and off 2, and he is there going to make the move coming into 3. Side by side, it's still a door-to-door John Force situation. Is now Matt Long's trying to surge ahead and clears, has to come down and quickly block the 21 of Gitter, and does.
We've had such an organized race so far this evening, you know, with, of course, Derek Heitman being in control. But all of a sudden, all kinds of hell and havoc breaking loose at the top of the pile, with Matt Long now having to hold off an angry pack of Hornets. It's almost like they're out there to protest, you know, Derek Heitman being punted the way that he was just a moment ago. Matt Long leads Patrick Gitter and Neil Pearson 1, 2, 3. They go out of turn 4 back into the quad oval here, crossing the start-finish line. Chris Davis back here getting ready to do battle with Nolan Hodgson, as Hodgson looks to track down Michael Witt.
Yeah, Chris Davis, do not count him out. Davis, we have our first car in the 29-second bracket. Dalton Mobley, new fastest lap of the race, goes at 29.96 in the 2.
I'll tell you what, somebody was going to do it, and as soon as we hit this almost perfect temperature at 105 degrees, I told you it was coming, and finally I look like I know what I'm talking about. Dalton Mobley does it, as he is from Cooper, Texas, right here in the Lone Star State, as he's ready to split the difference between Michael Witt and Sean Rogers as they run ahead of him. Michael Witt now sinking back forward here in the teacup as he is about to be passed by Dalton Mobley.
Yeah, Dalton Mobley there going to just send it right through the gap there as the 88 continues to run in that second to high lane there as he's percolating on the outside, but Mobley has hit the afterburner. He's now going to slot inside the top 10 as we take the coverage back to the eye in the sky. Matt DiCiani now suddenly in 4th position, almost back even with the board.
You know, we talked about it a moment ago. Eric Papineau now 29.94, the new fast time on the racetrack tonight, as he has also gone, whoa, a little bobble coming out of 3 and into 4, as Papineau has just blistered down to 29.94 as he comes back across the start-finish line. We are 28 laps from the end, 27 this time by, as Matt Long is now being challenged by Patrick Gitter for the lead.
Yeah, being challenged on the outside. I'm telling you, these 2 races I ran here, once that track temp got under 109 degrees, every degree it went down, the track picked up a considerable amount of grip. So this could wreak havoc here as some cars could really start to come to life, and vice versa could go the other direction as Patrick Gitter has gotten the best of Long and has taken the 21 to the point here in Texas.
What a great exit out of 2 and down the back chute for Gitter, as he was just able to perfectly rotate coming out of 2 and onto the backstretch, as now Patrick Gitter leads us here on lap 241 of 267. Folks, you know, you might have been frustrated the last couple of weeks with short track racing and, you know, and everything that we went through at Martinsville, but my God, all of a sudden this league has gotten their act together, so to speak, and we are back to amazing racing right here on SRM.
Yeah, if everyone's going to have a hiccup. We're all human at the end of the day, but no one circles the wagons like the Stacy Strong Cup Series, like they have done here tonight, Dave. I can't agree with you more. And just, you can see just how much faster these cars have gotten. The next time we go on board with these guys, I doubt they're having as much off-throttle time as we've been seeing all night long. You can see the way they're sending the car with much more confidence into the corner. The 2 wide side-by-side is packed. The high side back to life right now is Hodgson now going after another position out there on the racetrack. Hodgson in that 4th position, and he wants more. He wants 3rd from Pearson. He's lurking and lurking hard.
Nolan Hodgson working his way back up toward the top 3. We can see he's basically standing on the throttle, hitting 190 going into turns 1 and 2. We're going to go right to the nose here of Hodgson's car, because this is where all the action is. He is holding the throttle wide open. This is almost like watching art at work right here. As we come into 3, Hodgson looking to try to keep into the throttle. He can do that a little bit longer.
He's in 5th gear.
Now that the racetrack is rubbered up and the grip is there, Hodgson suddenly about to start moving up through the ranks.
He's in 5th gear. Watch him shift it down to 4th right here. He absolutely does. This track has changed. It is going back to the fast side, and Hodgson is ready for it. Now he's going to be one of the fastest lap times around this place. That's exactly what you do, Dave. You hold that thing in 5th gear around the rest of this place, hit 100 and 191, click it down into 4th, help it rotate, rip the bottom of 1 and 2, and then murder the throttle back to 5th gear. As this is really starting to really get hot and heavy up here near the front, is it's Matt Long, Gitter, Pearson, and Hodgson in a 4-way shootout for the lead.
Well, and I'll tell you what right now, it's literally, you know, the term that we always use, finding another gear. Hodgson literally found another gear. You know, with now 21 to go here at the line. As we roll out of turn 4, they are side by side for the lead as Long and Gitter. They wreck behind, but we stay green as Matt Long retains the lead ahead of Pearson and Gitter. What that's going to do, though, it ordinarily would open up the opportunity for the 12 and the 14 to try to make up some distance, but they're still back here battling. Right now, the luckiest driver on the racetrack is going to be Chris Davis, as he is basically out for a Sunday drive, closing in now in the 14 of Matt DiCiani. Nolan Hodgson still trying to hold on to 4th as he claws his way just underneath Neil Pearson.
I don't know how the 12 and the 14 didn't crash there. I mean, it looked like, at least from my point of view, that the 14 made contact with the 12, and yet the car did not react to it going through the corner. We stay green here. Is now this battle going on at the highest speeds we've seen of today. Now over 191 miles an hour getting into turn one. The order still stays the same in spite of the high-octane, high-flying racing action. It's Long, Gitter, Pearson, Hodgent, DeCiani as these laps now continue to wound down, Dave. Under 20 laps to go, 19 on the board.
19 to go is correct as Matt Long leads the way. Patrick Gitter and Neil Pearson in tow as Pearson now looks to the inside of Gitter. This may be a little too early to start cooking that rice as he has a little bit too much time. You don't want to puff that rice up too hard as Paul Hill, look at him all over the rear bumper of Sean Rogers, still battling it out as Paul Hill. I can't even believe that we're seeing what we are this far back in the field as Pearson is ready to try to start serving the ball at Long.
Yeah, everyone's cooking full steam ahead. You made the rice reference. They got it set to boil. 18 laps to go now, Dave. You can't hold anything back. You got those tires. Use them up. You don't know what's going to happen between now and the end of this race. And I believe you're still laying a set of tires in the pits. Should a caution flag come out and you elect to take tires before this is all said and done. But Matt Long is continuing to play the dirty air game to a T, to the finest right now. He is taking the preferred line away from Pearson, making him track in his dirty air, and every time Pearson's within striking distance, that car starts to push and he starts to overheat those front tires, and he has to back off, re-rack to do it all over again. Long play and great defense right now as he continues to lead over Pearson, Gitter, and Hodson.
Now here's an interesting storyline that's just kind of starting to bubble up through here. Derek Heitman would be the lucky dog if the caution were to come out now. And then he would come back on, of course, the end of the longest line, yada, yada, yada. But then he's got to go 19 positions. Does Derek Heitman have the car that can get him back up there? Should we have an untimely caution over the next couple of laps? Does he have enough time to crawl up through the standings?
We know his car is phenomenal out in front. I really don't know how it is in dirty air. And to be fair, he's getting a taste of that now. But again, it's Derek Heitman. When he has to go lights out, go blitzcrank, he can get up on the wheel and make things happen. I just don't know with 15 laps to go if that's enough time out there on the racetrack. In fact, 14 laps to go. That candle is starting to burn and burn quickly if Heitman wants to have one last shot at the victory here.
Well, there you are making the World War II reference with the Blitzkrieg, and of course I've got the Civil War wrapped up with 1862 earlier. I guess we just have to get all of the recent conflicts in world history under our belt tonight?
Well, I mean, you started off with that narrative, so, might
just
as well...
Just try to stay on brand.
Exactly.
Well, maybe we can see Derek Heitman lay down the Blitzkrieg bop as Matt Long leads this piece here ahead of Neil Pearson and Matt DeCiani. As DeCiani runs right now in third position, we can see that he's just trying to kind of hang out. Looks like he's still saving something, and that's, again, hearkening back to Barrett Coffey, who I had spoken of earlier. He was one of those drivers that was a master in this league at holding back. He always had something at the end. It almost seemed like he was like 85-90% throttle, and then in the last 10 laps suddenly found that extra 10% and would drive away.
You want to talk about holding back and saving something. I forget who it was last year. I remember the car. It had a Superflow wrap on it. And this guy all of a sudden would shoot out of a cannon. I mean, Dave, he would take off from 15th, and 2 laps later, he would clear the field and lead this thing and just check out like it was nobody's business. I don't remember who it was, but the car was a Superflow-sponsored car, and that was by far the wildest drive I had ever seen at anyone that just decided to hit the afterburner. As we're now approaching 10 laps to go, does anyone have anything to dethrone Matt Long in the 97? Pearson and DeCiani are the closest to them, obviously, as they reside in second and third place. Or does an outsider from the top 3, Hodson, Gitter, or Davis, have anything left in the tank to go up there and challenge the 97.
As we take a look here at Sean Rogers leading over top of Paul Hill here in the 6th.
Motor oil.
Oh, motor oil you were talking about. I thought it was a completely different. Never mind.
No, I'm not talking about a quicker, thicker picker-upper, buddy. No.
10-4, just making sure that we were all on the same page, is nearly making contact as Paul Hill is into Sean Rogers. They go side by side, all but putting the fender on one another, coming through the quad oval. Now, Matt Long up here, he's basically biding his time. He's got about 0.3 of a second back to Neil Pearson, while Patrick Gitter is suddenly trying to get back after Nolan Hodgson. We're going to ride along with Gitter, looking for a way to get around Hodgson. This is going to take some skill and patience.
Hey, I want to go to the YouTube chat really quick. Brandon Bikey chiming in from the Moonshiners Cup Series. Love that guy. He's a damn good race car driver. And he says, sometimes you got to get her with your long DeCiani, you dimwit.
Look at this guy just literally stringing every name together atop this pile.
That Brandon Bikey at his finest. I'd love to see him come over here and mix it up with these guys. He'd be a great addition to this series as well. But want to thank him for poking his head here tonight. And of course, more fans in the house for Nolan Hodgson tonight. As he almost seems like the series' most popular driver at times.
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting when we have so many different people in the YouTube.com live chat. First of all, we are one of the most watched series on Sim Racing Media, which is always exciting, especially when we crack that 300 mark. But, you know, I mean, these drivers have followings. They have real-life sponsors. Sean Rogers down pit road. What on God's green earth is he doing over here? Oh, no.
Oh.
That wheel's supposed... I think he has a problem.
That might be what Tony Trapasso would call Bluetooth suspension. Oh, that is heartbreak for the 44, and I'm sure Amanda Price is here cheering him on like the loyal fan that she is each and every Sunday night. But that is just unfortunate for Sean Rogers.
I just want to see what might have happened here with Sean Rogers, as it looks like just about everybody was able to suddenly get past him. We see the 35 of Tyler Sexton. I don't see where he passed. Oh, maybe he passed Rogers while Rogers was down on pit road. But obviously Rogers got a little intimate with the outside wall and locked that front wheel up as he broke the toe link. 5 laps to go here at Texas Motor Speedway, the Stacy Strong Cup Series, brought to you by, of course, Trisha's Hope. We want to thank Trisha's Hope for being a proud sponsor and partner here of the Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series. Of course, Trisha's Hope offering hope and so much more to cancer warriors, not necessarily always survivors, but warriors. And, you know, I know that they were a huge help here to Brian Tarnowski, a friend of mine, and Waukesha, Wisconsin can always be proud of what Brian does here on the racetrack every week, as he and I have raced around one another and been friends for about 3 years now. And speaking of 3, we are 3 laps to go. Matt Long coming down the back chute. We're almost to the end of this piece, and it's not over yet. Look, here comes Neil Pearson, ready to put the move on the lead for Matt Long.
Was Pearson saving something for the end, like you were describing, Dave Regal? And it appears that he's displayed the patience of a saint here in Texas, as he has went up there and just taken the lead from the 97 with just 2 laps remaining, and as popsicle sticks are literally in the air right now. As they go down the backstretch, he's going to open up the gap by about 3/10 of a second now. As they go into the 3 and 4 complex, Matt Long not letting them get away, but we know how hard it is to pass Pearson out there on the racetrack, let alone when he has the lead with just 1 lap left to go.
The popsicle sticks go down, the white flag is in the air, and we're racing back to checkers. Neil Pearson taking a play right out of Barrett Coffee from Prim Springs, Tennessee's playbook, as we lead here on lap 267. Neil Pearson in a surprise move shoots on by Matt Long. Matt DiCiani running in third. It goes Pearson, Long, DiCiani coming through. Turns 3 and 4 one final time. Matt Long thinks he can maybe try to put the move. They go side by side. Not enough as Neil Pearson makes the surprise win here at Texas Motor Speedway, followed by Matt Long, Matt DiCiani, Patrick Gitter, Nolan Hodgson, Chris Davis, Dylan Banks, Paul Hill, Dalton Mobley, and Eric Papineau rounding out your top 10.
I got to quote this one more time. Brandon Blakey says, sometimes you got to get her with your Long, DiCiani, you dimwit, as Pearson goes up there and robs candy from a kid as he strips Matt Long of a win and goes up there and gets it done in prime time. What a race, Dave, from flag to flag. This has been by far the highest intensity race we have seen thus far from these competitors here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series. Fitting that we should see a play on one of the former greats here at the end is Pearson gets the job done at the end of competition. Preliminary results here are as follows. Pearson, the last lap win, well, just about last lap win. Matt DiCiani comes home third, Gitter in fourth. Hodgson's going to round out the top 5. And just missing that is Chris Davis in the 6th from Beast Mode Performance. But he had a heck of a run here tonight. He was a lot of fun to watch as he certainly put on quite a show here in prime time tonight.
And just as you say that, we're going to have Neil Pearson with us right here in the broadcast booth. Neil Pearson, it's Dave and Matt up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I got a copy.
What a run you had. It's almost like you were saving just enough for literally the last possible moment to come home and steal the checkered flag away from Matt Long.
Yeah, he was, him and Patrick, they were battling really hard at the start of that run, and I got up to third behind them, and I just made sure I could keep the guys behind me and just did everything I could to try and save it, and yeah, it really paid out. Just got him in the 2 to go or something.
Yeah, usually when we see the popsicle sticks go in the air, we don't usually see a battle that fast and furious, but you laid it on thick tonight. I mean, take us through this race. How do you find yourself, here in victory lane when, through the night you qualified 9th and you had to basically sit in traffic all night long?
Some adjustments just before on the first run, I think it was, and it made the car bad. So I took them out basically the end of that last run, for that last run, and it just came alive. So I wish I had have, just left the car as it was. But yeah, I mean, I got the win, so that's all that matters, really.
Absolutely. All right, my friend. Well, listen, congratulations on the win tonight here at Texas Motor Speedway. Before we cut you loose, who do you need to thank and tip your helmet to for this run?
Yeah, just teammate Matt Long. I kind of feel bad taking the win from him, but it was a good race, and Ryko for the setups, just fantastic setups. My Australian teammates, you guys for the broadcast, SNN for the series. This is a fantastic race. Hopefully we get more like this in the future.
All right, my friend, have a good rest of the night. We'll see you next week at Talladega Super Speedway.
I'm not looking forward to that one.
And Matt, I believe you have with you now Matt Long in the broadcast booth, driver of the 97.
Matt Long, Matt and Dave up in the Tony Trapasso Memorial broadcast booth. You got a copy there?
Yes, sir.
Well, Matt Long, here we are again. Another race and another interview by the driver of the 97. Man, I don't know if you're heartbroken, how you feel right now, but I thought you had this win in the bag, and your teammate went up there and threw a freaking full house down there as time was coming out, and he was able to get around you. But nonetheless, what a performance again from the 97.
Yeah, if I'm going to get beat by someone, I'm glad it's my teammate. But, yeah, it sucks. I cooked my tires racing Gitter. you know, and he should be racing me for the lead. And I tried to cool him back down a little bit, and then I thought I had maybe enough gap on Neil, but I knew he was back there saving his stuff a little bit. And yeah, just a few laps too short. Tires were cooked. But hey, man, 1-2 Dirty South, we'll take it.
That's right. I mean, it's heartbreak, but like you said, if it's going to be anybody, you'd rather have it be your teammate to go out there and take the win from you. You know, you mentioned the tires were cooked. I mean, talk to me about the tire in this racetrack surface. It seemed like forever that it was like an ice rink out there that you guys just were holding on for dear life. Was it that bad inside the cockpit of the race car?
Yeah, it was fun, man. It reminded me of kind of old Atlanta in a way, and I love that. That's my favorite track. And
That's my jam too, or was my jam.
Yeah, man. I think we were a little bit looser than maybe Derek and Gitter and those guys, and it paid off on the long run for sure. But man, was it slippery early in that race. It was a lot of fun. We were a lot of throttle control for sure, a lot of off throttle, and I love that. It was fun. It was
Yeah,
tough,
some of you guys, I don't know if you were doing this as well. They were lifting at the start finish line completely out of the throttle and letting that car roll all the way down to 1 and 2. When I seen that, that really told me that that's just how slick it is out there. But it made for some great racing, like you said, and Derek Heitman even said, hey, if you want to fix the racing problem with the next gen, just crank the track temp through the roof. And it certainly made it, probably one of the most high octane, side by side, just dogfighting races that we've seen from you guys all season long. But it seemed like as that track temp finally cooled down, your car really came to life.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was good early too. We had a freaking pit road speeding penalty on the first stop because I'm an idiot, and we were able to drive from like 25th up to 5th in stage 1. So it definitely had speed. But yeah, Derek's right. Like, it all comes down to the tire at the end of the day. And, if you're not going to change the tire, might as well kill it with heat. And that's what happened today. It was a lot of fun. Like, you can move up in 3 and 4 and find grip up there too. And search around the track for more grip. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. We'll take the run.
Yeah, it was certainly great from a broadcast perspective, seeing that second groove, come in at predominantly a one-line racetrack. Before we cut you loose, Matt, as you know, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done on the 97 squad?
Yeah, I want to thank my teammates, Neil, Dyson, Bobby hopped in. I know he was at the Real Life Texas race. He hopped in, did some crew chiefing for us, and you guys for putting on the show, Chris for running the league, and then all the fans out there watching. I appreciate you guys.
Well, there he is, ladies and gentlemen. I thought this was Matt Long's race to win. Instead, his teammate goes up and robs him point blank and broad daylight here for the dub, but he's still fired up as he's always going to be in the top 3, it seems, as of recent in the Stacy Strong Cup Series as he looks to increase his points here. And Dega next week, that's the driver of the 97, Matt Long. Dave Regal, back to you.
Thank you, Matt. And last but certainly not least on the podium tonight, battling all night long, he winds up finishing where he started this race in 3rd, but Matt DiCiani really tried to put the screws to everybody tonight to try to steal the win. Hey, Matt, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
I mean, look, you lead the points anyway, but I mean, a hard-fought battle tonight. What was the race, the racing conditions like? As obviously the track was changing, so you were having to make some adjustments down there. What was it like trying to navigate through this piece tonight?
Yeah, the track was hot pretty much the whole race, so it was just really managed tires. It was pretty easy to cook them in 3-4 laps if you started over driving 1 or 3, and yeah, it was just manage and just take care of my stuff all race.
Yeah, I mean, having to take care of some of your equipment as long as you had to. I mean, 267 laps in this kind of heat is, that's kind of a tall order for any driver, much less to be able to get it done with so few cautions, such safe driving out here on the racetrack. I mean, you and your fellow drivers managed to keep it clean, and after the last couple of weeks, short track racing, it was almost like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it was nice to see. It was a fun race. It was a fun race at the end. But yeah, I mean, that's what we need. We kind of had a caution there that kind of screwed up a cycle of green flag pit stops, which would have been nice to see. But yeah, it was hopefully we get this every week, honestly, because it really is a blast when you can run long runs like that.
Yeah, I mean, long runs are definitely the key to good racing, especially once you get strung out, and everybody's starting, to pick one another off one at a time, So, here at a place like Texas, you're able to do that kind of thing. Now, next week, we're going plate racing at Talladega Superspeedway, 2.66 miles just outside of Birmingham. What are you thinking about as, we get ready to shift gears to superspeedways?
Same story. Survive. Just you can't win the race if you're junked. So I don't know. We'll see what we're doing, how we queue. Depends if we're gonna just drop back or try to get stage points. It'll kind of dictate where we start, what we do as a team. But if we get started up front, we'll try to just control the race.
All right, buddy. Listen, congratulations once again here on the P3 finish. Before we get you out of here, though, who do you need to thank and who helps you get it done here on the 14 team?
Yeah, thanks to you guys for calling the race, Chris for putting on the league, thanks to Team Conti Sim Performance for our setups, and shout out to my teammates, Derek, Pat, and Randy. Feel bad for Derek, thought he had the best car tonight, and he spun on pit road, but he'll get him a win here soon.
All right, buddy, listen, congratulations one more time, and we will see you next week at Talladega Superspeedway. Matt, another one in the books here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series, and this was one for the record books.
Clearly, you just got to add a little spice to the SNN sauce and its boss. Translation, have Chris Claude turn the track temp up a little bit more, and that should, it's simple, right? At least it should work that way in theory. And then we'll have racing like this each and every week in prime time as Neil Pearson, in a thrilling fashion, steals one from his teammate Matt Long and gets the victory. And we just mentioned the driver of the 97. He's going to come home second. Matt DeCiani resides in third. Patrick Gitter in fourth. And Nolan Hodgson in that 12 ride rounds out the top 5. Chris Davis, he's going to come home in 6th place. The driver of the 70, Dylan Banks, resides in 7th. 8th place tonight, Paul Hill in that 6th machine. Dalton Mobley just inside the top 10 in 9th. And rounding out the top 10, that's going to be Eric Papineau in the 17. Seba Cornez, he's going to slot in that 11th place position at the checkered flag. Michael Witt had a strong drive here tonight, comes home 12th. Randy Belk, 13th. Bad Chad Sanner, he's going to get himself a top 15. And Richard Pruitt in the 24 rounds out the top 15, Dave.
Tanner Marty finishes in 16th, while Tyler Sexton brings the 35 home in 17th. Chris Custer brings the double 6 Coca-Cola machine home in 18th, while Derek Heitman, our race leader and stage 1 and 2 winner, disappointingly finishes in 19th. Mark Johnston gets the 80 home in 20th, rounding out your top 20, while Brian Tarnowski gets the Trisha's Hope number 28 across the line 21st. Chris Claude, of course, tomorrow night's broadcast partner here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial broadcast booth, he comes home in 22nd, while 23rd goes to John Wilco out of McAdoo, Pennsylvania. 24th goes to Sean Rogers, while 25th is Matt Mackin. Ken Ron out of Dillsburg, PA, comes home 26th, with Alexander Gangler from Big Rock, Illinois, finishes 27th. And 28th is Keith Long, not to be confused with Matt Long, while Alex Princeton gets the 19 across the line in 29th. Ron Fitting comes home in 30th, Rich Jett in 31st, while Bennett Allen, Randall Watkins, Kavaja Holt, Jeff Carson, Rafael Rodriguez, and Ryan Samuelson round out the rest of the field. 37 drivers took the green flag tonight. Not everybody came across running, but I'll tell you what, Matt, this has been one for the ages here in this league, and I want to thank everybody out there watching us on YouTube.com and checking in on the chat feed to thank you for making us a part of your evening, of course, welcoming us into your homes and onto your phones and everywhere else that you may be watching us. I'm Dave Riegel, he's Matt Metler, and as you walk down the road of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everyone.